Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are
the Yerky Boys.
Oh man, this is Alternamorphs number 2, The Next Passage.
Released in March 2000. A year after the first one.
A year after the first one. Yeah, are you excited? I hope the listeners are excited for more Alternamorphs.
1 year later, 1 year and 3 months. Maybe not 3 months. Oh, no, maybe this one's earlier, actually. It's a little less than a year. I think the last one was May.
Oh, was it? It's pretty close to exactly a
Oh, no,
year.
it was March.
It might be exactly. Okay.
Yeah, so it's exactly a year. It's 1 minute in, and we're already feeding wrong information to the listeners.
It's
Good
fine.
podcast.
Nobody gives a shit about our...
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything we say is right.
1 year later, the editors at Scholastic were like, remember that Alternamorphs thing? Don't we have another one somewhere? Yeah, let's push that shit out, I guess. Like, what? What a weird time frame.
Yeah.
What is that?
Given how fast they churn these things out, it is strange that they didn't give up, but they also didn't just keep putting them out. Like, they had a whole year go by. Yeah,
was
very
the plan
strange.
that it would be a yearly series? Like, once a year, everyone will get excited for Alternamorphs, like Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't do one 1 year after this, although the series was basically over at that point.
I am confused on Seerowpedia. They usually show you what's the previous book and then what's the next one. You can click a link. This one, the next is just end of Alternamorphs, and you can't click it. So next is nothing.
Well, this came out in the same month as book 40, which is the B book with Gaffinolin and the gay Andalites and all of that.
Right.
So that's about where we are in the series. It's actually pretty late in the series, to be honest.
Well, look, I want to get into all that, but we actually have some pretty good emails we have to discuss before we get to it.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as they're good emails.
They are good this week. I think, honestly, listeners, if you skip this section, don't skip it, because I think this might be better than the rest of the show.
Holy shit. It might be, to be honest. Listen, it's always... Nobody's skipping any of our episodes. It's all way too good to skip.
No, well, we have them strapped down to those chairs so they can't touch the controls.
Let's hear these emails.
Oh,
yeah, I got to
well,
do a jingle. Yeah, the sharing... That's not how it goes.
Well, yeah, interesting. You put a spin on it, which I don't think I like. So last week, of course, listeners know we discussed Alternamorphs number 1, The First Journey. Is that what it was? Yeah, The First Journey.
Right. The first, the next is not... They didn't call this The Last Passage. Maybe they should have. But...
No, it's the second. Presumably a third Alternamorphs book would be called The Third One. Like, what a... I couldn't think of a lazier title than the second... I don't know. What's another word for, like, a book? I don't
Next.
know. Yeah. All right. Anyway, one of the things that I waxed nostalgic about was if you recall, a book I had as a child themed around Disney's Aladdin, in which I was one of the main characters and my name was printed in the book.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and you kind of gave me shit for it.
Yeah, I thought it sounded stupid.
Yeah, well, everyone thought you sounded stupid. Here's an email, because guess what? If I'm stupid, then so is this person who wrote in. Because this email comes from Steven.
Oh, he might be stupid then.
He says, "Hey, Yerky Boys. I want you to know that I also had that custom Aladdin book. My brother also had one. I think it was Power Rangers. But whatever it was, I do remember it wasn't a Disney IP. So I really have no idea who was making these things." Now, I don't remember if we did this after the show.
I thought we did look at it on the show. Or maybe it was after the show. I don't remember.
I think it was after the show. I actually tried to find this book, the Aladdin book. I can't remember the name of the site, but if you Google it, you can still buy the same Aladdin book I had as a kid from some website that looks like it's from 2001. That's like not a Disney website. And they have all kinds of these books on there, and you can customize it just like you did back in the day. It's like $50 or something for a book. It's like something stupid. But yeah, it still exists. It still exists. What are you gonna
That's
do?
pretty cool.
So Steven,
That it exists anyway. Not what it
Steven,
is.
I don't know. I think maybe he's moving up a little bit on my list.
So he's redeeming himself in your eyes.
A little bit.
Mm.
He also made something for us.
Whoa.
Now it's a meme that he made.
Oh. I'm less excited now. Maybe I'm just not excited at all now.
Maybe we'll tweet this so that listeners can see it if they want. But I'm gonna send it to you, Will, and then I'm gonna describe it for the listeners.
Okay.
If I can fucking open it. Here we go.
Do it.
So here's the meme for our listeners is based on Family Guy. It's not letting me.
I don't see it yet.
I know it's not letting me fucking send it to you for some
How
reason.
hard could this possibly be?
I had to I tried to copy and paste it. I had to download it. Okay, here's the meme. Okay, so if you recall from Family Guy, there's a scene where a guy is determining whether or not Peter can. I don't even know. Where's he trying to go? What's the context of this scene?
I don't even remember. Yeah, it's the thing with the cop. He pulls Peter over. He's got the skin color chart. I don't remember what that's from.
But why is Peter dressed like he's got a fez, like a Shriner or something? What is that? I don't know what he's dressed as.
Yeah, I wish I remembered the context. I'm a fake Family Guy fan.
Anyway, the thing is, the joke is the cop has a scale on a sheet of paper that says okay to not okay of knowing which races not to shoot or whatever it is cops do. But in this version of the meme, I think we must assume that the cop is Patrolman Teeter.
Yes.
From the previous Alternamorphs book.
Yes, that seems clear to me. Clear as day. It's obvious what this is.
And instead of skin colors, his sheet ranges from pit bull to German shepherd, all the way down to hyena and Hork-Bajir. And Peter's face is covered by a giraffe face.
Right.
So it's a humorous take on the fact that, as we learned, Patrolman Teeter, there are certain animals he will shoot and certain ones he will not.
Right. This is absolutely inscrutable if you didn't just read, because nobody fucking you could nobody would even think this is Animorphs. I guess they would because there's a Hork-Bajir on it. But that wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, how would that help? People would, because even if you know it's Animorphs, it's still just what are you what are we talking about here? You could figure it out by saying, when did anyone ever morph a giraffe? I guess it must be in this Alternamorphs book, but nobody remembers this.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good meme. Good job, Steven.
Probably people forgot about Patrolman.
Yeah, people who listened to last week's episode probably don't even understand this. And of course, the funniest way to discover a meme is to hear someone describe it to you.
Right.
So,
yeah.
You're welcome.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that the pit bull is above the police dog on this list in terms of who the cop might shoot.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Steven says, keep up the good work.
Thanks.
All right. Next up, we are hearing from Visser C.
Ooh.
Remember Visser C?
I don't remember Visser C.
I think the C stands for Chandler.
Oh, okay.
Chandler. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, I'm not going to look it up. Am I going to look it up? Yeah, it's Chandler.
Okay. Good memory.
Visser C. Thanks. Well, I remember all 6 people who write into us.
Not me. I remember Chandler.
He did tell us his real name once on the show in an email, so we're okay to say it, but he does only refer to himself as Visser C here, so we should respect that going forward.
Oh, okay. Right, I guess he got promoted, yeah. I don't want to get eaten.
I think he was Visser C before, too. I think there was a whole thing where we were like, what's the C stand for, and then he told us.
Oh. Well, I don't remember any of that.
It's fine. I know that your brain is dying all the time. It's just what it is.
I'm old now. I have dementia.
That's why I'm sort of the lore master on this show.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's really helpful for me.
Anyway, Visser C writes, "Hello. I was just listening to your coverage of book 43 when you responded to one of my prior emails. So that's the last time we read an email of his, probably. It was like 5 months ago or something.
Yeah. As I recall, I didn't remember enough about what he said to respond the first time to respond that time.
As I recall, I think we both kind of liked it. You know?
Yeah, no, I remember
Anyway,
that song.
anyway, I thought I might send you a couple discussion questions I've had on my mind. Here we go. General discussion questions. Number 1. By the way, when he says a couple, he means 2, because that's how many that is.
Well, it could be 2. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
It always is, and it is here as well.
Doesn't
Number
have to
1.
be.
It does. Number 1. Discussion question. What the hell is a megamorph? Structurally, they feature all 6 protagonists as narrators and are longer than other books, but what qualities does a story have to be a megamorph? To me, number 1 is way too basic and underwhelming to fit the bill. It could easily have been a normal book. Number 2 and 3 in my mind are excellent examples of what these stories should be. Larger-than-life, ridiculous adventures that have theoretically far-reaching ramifications despite affecting the actual story little. It's just a shame that both rely on time travel. Number 4 is fine. I don't like it as much as you guys do, and actually I think I would like it more as a book or a trilogy like the David plotline. Anyway, what do you guys think? What were the Megamorphs, and what should they have been? I would have liked to get a better view of the wars on other worlds, like in Book 18 and Chronicles. What do you think? What's a Megamorphs book to you? What does that mean in your head? What unites these 4 books?
Well, I would 100% agree that I don't think the first book is united in the Megamorphs. The fact that they just reuse the Valik plot again in in a main series book kind of proves that that wasn't really. I don't know, like when they first did Megamorphs, it seems like the idea was that like we could do a bigger one, we could do a 2-parter through the book fair, we could, whatever, just like it felt like there was just some idea of like we could do another one, and K. Applegate just kind of wrote another one. Like it's only when we get to 2 and going on from there that it feels like I don't know, maybe 2 defined it, right? Maybe at 2 she was like, I'm gonna do a supplementary book. And this time I added that Saria Rip idea, so let's do dinosaurs. Kids love dinosaurs, and that kind of cemented the idea that Megamorphs books are these like alternate timeline, alternate universe. Because to me, that is kind of what it is, right? There is time travel, but maybe it gets undone, or it's not like directly like if if you missed it, it doesn't matter so much. But it is always different timelines, different time periods, whatever. Something like Seeing Other Planets to me feels more Chronicle-y because that's where it was done. But on the other hand, these are like totally arbitrary. Like as far as what should they have been, like I don't know, Time and Dinosaurs could have just been a book if they wanted to do a book and not Megamorphs, and Megamorphs could just have been like, what if we took an Animorph story and fleshed it out? Like, what if the Isquort were Megamorphs? I don't know. Like, I guess they just happened to be what they were.
Great answer. Very
Like,
diplomatic.
I don't know that I don't know that they feel like they should have been something to me. It's just that what they were to me was that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Isquort or the Lyran book could have,
Mm-hmm.
those both are other planets that could have been something. Are those the only 2 where they're really good, or another planet? Oh, and the Hork-Bajir follow-up, but...
Yeah, the Hork-Bajir follow-up, which also could have done with being finished, so...
First, I will defend Megamorphs 1 a little bit, as I did in that episode. I like it more than anybody. But I think it also it's important to look at it in the context of when it came out. Because at the time, what was that, like around book 8 or something? It was like early.
Yeah, right around then, book 7 or 8.
I felt like, oh, this is like the movie of the week. I said all this, I'm sure, in that episode. This feels like the... It just feels I mean, I think just by virtue of it being longer and having multiple protagonists, that almost is enough to make it feel more significant and impactful. And
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm reading something that's a little bit more special than a regular, even if it's not something that was like plot important or like a weird alternate story. Just that is kind of cool because it's like, oh, you get to actually flesh things out more. And even though they could have taken a lot more advantage of that writing those books, I think it has the potential for that just to be the case.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that holds true for the dinosaur one as well. To me, both of those are like, this is like a big threat, basically. Not just, oh, Visser 3 again. This is like something crazy is happening, whether it's a giant monster alien or it's dinosaurs. It's like some kind of an event book. Then I think it's 3 and 4 are the ones that are like, well, now it's crazy alternate universes that those are the odd ones out to me.
Hmm.
I don't know, because Saria Rips were introduced already in the normal books too, so it's not like that's a. I mean, so was Time Matrix. I guess was from Analyte Chronicles. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm rambling now. Do I have an answer to this question? What do I think they should have been? What were they? I think the problem is when you have only 4 of something. It's like I think like if there had been 6 more Megamorphs, then maybe they all would have been alternative universes, and then it would have been obvious. But when you only have 4, even if 3 of the 4 are one thing, it's like, but a quarter of it's not that, or something. I don't know how to. It's hard. It's harder to define it in that light. I think they just should have been what I said. Is like, here's a big. Like we just can't fit this in a regular book. The problem is you often have regular books where they have stuff that they can't fit in them. So
Yeah.
it's like it kind
Yeah.
of falls apart.
Yeah, I mean that is the real problem is that like I 100% agree that when the first one came out, like what sets it apart is this idea that there's more to it. There's it's got this totally different structure with the changing viewpoints. Like, but it feels like that's what there was the presentation, the structure. It doesn't to me feel like the story is bigger in the first one, right? Because like, okay, yeah, you got this crazy Valik thing, but like at this point, we also just introduced the Ellimist. Jake's been made a controller. We already introduced Visser 1, who's Marco's mom. Like, it's kind of.
I think it's, you know what it is for me? It's not the like the actual substance. It's more
Mhm.
like how expensive would the special effects budget be? Is what I'm using as a factor.
Well, what about the Ellimist? It still
That's
beats.
not. It's just a guy. It's just a guy. It's just a guy. What, he makes them see visions of the past or something? That doesn't cost anything.
I don't know about all
You
this.
just roll some fucking B-roll around their heads. It's not the same as like a giant tornado monster tearing through a street.
I don't.
You
Well,
need
then in that case,
CGI for that.
basically every Animorphs book needs that level of CGI. I don't know. I
No,
mean,
no, no, no. As we'll see when we start watching the show, I bet you they don't do a Valik episode. You know what I'm saying?
maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. But I don't. Like even literally just the first episode where it's like Visser 1, Visser 3 goes Antarian Bog and eats Elfangor, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
that's just
just
a
on the same
throwaway.
level.
We don't. That's not the plot of the book. It's just one thing.
I mean, either way, I do think it I don't know. Doesn't it feel like there is something, at least story wise, out about the first one where it feels like there's a it's a different kind of story going forward from two, even though the structure is kind of developed in
I
one.
think 3 and 4 feel of a piece. I think both 1 and 2 feel different. I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, 2 is
Mhm.
still like we're going to another sort of world, but it's still like their world. It's still like real. I mean, other than the fucking aliens, like dinosaurs did exist
Mhm.
versus now what if we were all Nazis? Like, that's a very different fucking thing. I mean, I guess you could say that about the time travel, the third one too. I guess that
Yeah,
is just time travel.
I do see where you're coming
I don't
from, and
know.
one of the big things that you're also seeing with 3 and 4 is that that's very like they're both very Ellimist Drode time matrixy. Like, okay, there's not a
Mhm,
time
mhm.
matrix in number 4, but like you have this Ellimist, you have this Drode, you have this Krayak. That's all very established. Whereas in number 2, you know, I'm coming in here and saying, I bet you Ellimist had something to do with this. How could he not when something crazy happens? But of course, there's no direct evidence that he did anything, right? At this point, Ellimist has shown up twice. And I'm just saying, I bet Ellimist did it every time something crazy happens. It's not until book 26, The Attack, where you start seeing, like, okay, we actually have lore fleshed out for these guys and they show up um, all the
Yeah.
time. So there is a big difference there where you can kind of lean on that. Whereas in the second one, it's just like, all right, there was that sorry or rip thing. That's just kind of a thing that happens.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like the first two books feel like these are the Animorphs going on one of their adventures, but it's like on a bigger scale. Whereas 3 and 4, as you said, are like outside influences making crazy shit happen.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
just another day at the office.
Yeah. I would still say there's a progression in that. I don't think the first book is a bigger scale story, whereas I think the second Megamorphs is. But I mean, either way, I think we can kind of come down on the idea that Megamorphs is not like it. There was a progression as to what it was. It was just another book they put out, and they they worked on it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so in terms of what should they have been, think they're fine. I don't think they need to have a thematic connection. Like I don't
Mhm.
want them all to be about time travel or something. I think it's fine to just be like, this is a big story. I mean,
Mhm.
one thing they could have been is they could have been more like Chronicles books in that they could have been important plot wise. When in
Mhm.
fact it's the opposite. They're almost like the books you can skip for the
Yeah.
plot.
I mean, I don't mind that idea. You've got these kind of like, okay, you've got the main series of books, and that's the important plot. And then like it's nice to kind of have these you can skip them, they're not important, but they're still big fun stories, event books.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
yeah.
so it is nice to have that. And it's also nice to have big important lore books that are important, not necessarily for like plot continuity, but for lore, right? Like if you skip and like Chronicles, there are gonna be points in the story that you're not like ready for, but they all get explained as it happens. It's not like a huge problem. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I guess Visser you need, and I guess
Even Visser though, like you'd
yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, you would figure it out. You would just be like, what happened at the end of book 35? I don't know. I guess they spared her.
All right. Well, folks, if you're worried about this being too short an episode, I don't think you got to worry. I think we're going to do fine.
We're gonna do fine. It'll be fine.
Discussion question. That generated a lot of discussion,
Mm-hmm.
and we're only halfway done.
Oh
Mr.
shit,
C
there's a
is
second one I forgot.
That's right. There's another question.
Oh god.
That's not even our last email.
Oh no.
That's fine. We needed this week because we're not talking about CYOAs as much.
Yeah.
Visser C, second topic, says, I don't know how to. I think the way this is, I'm going to read this is Megamorphs. Kind of like
Megamorphs?
yeah, like Meanamorphs, but I think it's like
Megamorphs.
Meanamorphs. Visser C writes, one of the reasons I think I fell off the series multiple times in the past is that I get bogged down with how the characters change. Not just them becoming more warlike and traumatized, but how they start fighting more and their relationships start to break down. It is somewhat gradual, but I think the transition to full Megamorph is sometime during or just after the David trilogy, or maybe when the ghostwriters take over. I don't think it's bad writing, but it can be harder to read. Did you guys notice this change, and does it bother you? Well,
That's interesting that there's a breakdown. There's a breakdown in the way that the Animorphs interact with each other post David. Interesting, because I would have said there's a little bit of breakdown by the time you get into the mid 30s, and then there's a huge breakdown by the time you're at the late 40s.
mm-hmm. Well, he says
But
maybe it happened when the ghostwriters take over. You know, he's just giving some like
yeah,
possible. It's gradual, but
yeah, but, well, I guess yeah, I hear that, but I don't see like I agree that what there is gradual, but I guess I didn't notice anything too stark or notable as a like as a post David thing or as a ghostwriter thing. I didn't notice it until right maybe like 10 books later or something where it really started happening, but
well,
um
in David, you have. I mean, that's like the first instance probably that I can first major instance of an Animorph doing something truly
Hmm.
terribly upsetting.
That's true, I suppose.
And I think there's also a lot. I do think, it's been a while since we read it, but I feel like in that trilogy is maybe around where Rachel really started to get a little bit crazier, and Jake started to get a little more like the leader. And yeah, that was the whole thing where
Yeah.
he was like,
Yeah.
Rachel, do the bad shit.
Yeah, no, that is the first book where we see that that's a dynamic that might start happening, but I don't think that dynamic really starts paying off in them like clashing until we're in the 30s. But maybe I'm not right about that. Maybe that's
I
I mean,
mean,
part
you
of
may
the
be
issue
right, but
here
still, yeah.
when we talk about things that are post David, part of the issue is that like I started reading the trilogy or started
Just
reading the series at the David trilogy. So like for me, like that's basically my introduction to the characters, right? Everything before is like, yeah, okay, and then these are kind of, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of just in my head is like the baseline. So it's a little hard for me to think about the progression to that point.
we can't trust anything that you say about this. I do think that's probably. I think that it's more like if we're looking at a chart
Mm,
analyzing the meanness over time. There's probably like a spike there, and then it goes back down a little
mhm,
and normalizes. And then there's another spike later on. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's like, oh, from then on. It's just that was
mhm.
maybe like one of the first signs of it.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, yeah, I would definitely agree that the ghostwriters are inconsistent in any graph that you do, whether it's quality or meanness or character development or whatever, is going to have like big spikes and troughs because they didn't write a consistent
Troughs, you
story.
say?
I did say,
Well, I mean, one of I remember picking up on this particularly in I think it was right around the book where they push Marco's mom off a cliff.
yes, I do remember you noting on that in book 30. It was that one.
Which is pretty close to when the Ghost Raiders are around, right? Um,
Ghost Riders start. Technically, the first is 25, and then 27 is when it's
okay.
consistent.
But yeah, I remember there was definitely a point, which is, that's around the halfway point of the series. It's not like late. We're being like, oh, these kids are no longer we're
Hmm.
no longer the Power Rangers or the Ninja Turtles here. Like we're not having fun with I mean, sometimes
Hmm.
we are. There's still some books where they are having fun at that point, but a lot of the time, especially when it has to do with like the actual plot, it's a somber affair. So I understand where Visser C is coming from. It's I don't know that it's I don't know. I wouldn't say that it's something I disliked or didn't want to see or that made me want to stop reading, but I get it.
Hmm.
I feel that it is as we remarked, and as you said, it's especially apparent in the last 5 or 6 books.
Yeah.
It becomes less fun.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that, but I also don't. Like, I think you are right that it gets more consistently like that, but it also, the books get less consistently good. And so I don't, it's hard for me to pull that apart in terms of like, is that actually what might be
Mm.
turning you off? Because like that, even that level exists before there too. Like in book 16, we have all of these things about like, Jake almost dies and Cassie tries to comfort him and Jake's like, I'm not allowed to be comforted because I'm not allowed to be traumatized because I'm the leader and I have to hold it together or we're all fucked. There's the ethics of do you murder the serial killer or not? Go back to like book 3 and Tobias tries to kill himself, like it is there the whole time.
I will
I don't know.
posit this.
Uh-huh.
I think the issue is not necessarily that they're meaner.
Mhm.
It's that these books are so short and written in such a rushed fashion, and I feel like in so many of our issues or my personal complaints, it always comes back to this as the root of the problems. Is there's just not enough time for these scenes or characters to breathe in these books. It's
Mhm.
either plot, 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 or take a break to explain what an animal is like, which they don't even really do later on. And so like when you're trying to create tension and you need characters to bounce off each other and suspenseful shit is happening, the go-to logical thing to write in that scenario is the characters arguing with each other and debating what should we do next and getting into fights and the stress getting to them. And what we just don't see as much as the series goes on is just scenes where they're just fucking playing Doom, or they're at the mall, or eating at Taco Bell or whatever it is. Or, like we get occasionally there's one of those little glimpses like Tobias eating a Big Mac with Rachel, but I think there are not enough of those down periods. And I think that's contributes to the feeling that they're just always mean to each other, is we're just not seeing their off time, which maybe that is, I don't know if intentional is a strong word for some parts of the series, but you could argue that that's like they don't have as much downtime and they are supposed to be just getting angrier and more stressed maybe. But
yeah, I think that is true to some degree. But like, yeah, you do make a good point, because I am talking about darker themes, but Visser C is specifically talking about how those darker themes make them be at each other's throats, which is less of a thing pre the David trilogy. Although I do think the first time you see it is Cassie being like, "I don't want to be Rachel" in book 19. That I remember, other than just everyone being like, "I hate you, Cassie. Why are you always moralizing?" Or "I hate you, Marco. Why don't you want to fight with the rest of us," before he finds out about his mom or whatever. But yeah, I do think there, and I think that you're definitely right
I
that
love that.
that is that is
No,
that is
continue.
the sort of thing that's going on, right? Like, yes, there's not enough time to do a gradual progression by being like, yeah, there's a lot of nice scenes, but then we get more and more punctures slowly but surely. Yeah, it's like, okay, we don't have time for the downtime, so the tension ramping up is just like it's a constant level of tension that gets worse and worse, and not like a more and more frequent thing. And 100%, yes, the later books, especially the bad ones, could have been very much improved by just showing more of the kids' lives. And I did want to see that, and I think we said that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
huh.
all, and it also is just generally, in my opinion, and probably for most writers, easier to write characters arguing with each other than it is to write characters getting along with each other.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like that's I don't, to me, at least, it feels like a harder ask to write, to make a scene interesting and compelling of characters getting along, where it's like you generally you want tension in a scene. Like
Hmm.
that's that I mean, there's like slice of life stories, and there's examples that are different from this, but generally in a story driven adventure book, you want there to be some kind of stakes and conflict, and often that's between the characters. So it's just sort of the natural go to, I think. Uh,
That's fair.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll take your word on that.
I didn't think. Yeah, well, because I'm a writer, so
Right, right.
we both are.
Oh yeah, that's true. Now I am.
Yeah, we can both say that now. We are writers.
Yeah. All you have to do is have written anything. And if anyone wanted to read something we wrote, where might they find that?
Oh man, that's a great segue, because we should mention that we're over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/the Yerky Boys. We did an episode where we talked about fan fiction. Last week we read Kay Applegate's first ever world book. It's only $5 a month. You definitely want to check it out.
Oh man, that's pretty good. Fucking Patreon drop 30 minutes in.
Yeah, well, I did not anticipate that email taking as long as it did. I probably should have. I didn't really read it beforehand, but
I don't know.
uh,
Sometimes we get discussion questions. We just don't say anything. I don't know. Hopefully,
well,
we're right that there's not that much to talk about this week.
yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think this episode will be long. But there is one
Mm.
more email, which is the one I was saving for
Holy
last. That's like
oh my
the
god.
most, this is the real, like, interesting one, I thought.
Oh no.
This is the
Oh
one
no.
for the lore of the podcast that's going to matter.
Okay, let's do it.
It's fine. It's fine. The show's not going to be that long. It's fine. Just relax. Jesus. Are you sitting down?
I'm sitting down. I'm relaxed.
Listeners, are you sitting? If you're out for a jog or you're commuting, pull over, sit down on a park bench, stop working, just take a minute. Put your headphones in, clear some space around you, meditate. Don't be interrupted for this next section. We received an email this week Subject line, writing in. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, Mr. C also said, may Aximili share a Cinnabon with you, fat chance. That's his sign off.
That's nice.
Yeah, okay. I didn't want to let that slide. This email comes from Seerowpedia.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So let's just give a little background here, because if you've been listening to the show, you know we have an ongoing rivalry with Seerowpedia.
Yes.
Unbeknownst to them, until a few weeks ago, when they commented on our Reddit thread, and they asked about us saying fuck Seerowpedia all the time. And we said, you'll just have to listen to the show, ha ha ha. Okay, well, they wrote in now. They wrote an email now.
I'm excited.
Here it is. Hello, Yerky boys! Exclamation point. Just thought I'd write into the show. During the Alternamorphs #1 episode, it was mentioned that Seerowpedia should be better behaved on the internet, especially on our fandom wiki space. I do intend to catch up on all the other episodes. Wait till you hear the weakness, Seerowpedia. You're going to love it.
Oh, yeah.
But if there's a point of contention or something behavioral that occurred on site, I'd like to rectify that. Seerowpedia shouldn't be a place for that. If you could inform me specifically what transpired on site or what behavior you're referring to, I can look into it. Also, the television show pages don't have the details like the book pages do. It's just one person primarily running the site, and I haven't had time to rewatch all the episodes and update the pages accordingly. Apologies for the ghostwriter page thing. The wiki's not as fleshed out as I'd like. The site is updated whenever free time is allotted.
Holy shit.
Now, I don't know if Seerowpedia anticipated me reading this email aloud on the air, but that is how we do it. I don't actually ever write back to anyone in the emails. I only respond here.
Yeah.
I don't even say, hey, we responded to your email. You either listen or you don't. So that's the deal.
Right. So hopefully they're listening to the next episode.
That sounds like they are. Seerowpedia. So I don't know who this person is. I don't know if their name is on the site. I'm not going to look. I don't know if they want to be known or if they're anonymous. But so we'll just refer to them as Seerowpedia.
Yeah. That's who it is.
I mean, my understanding, they say it's primarily run by one person, i.e. them. But
I kind of love that, honestly.
But presumably, like, you can, like, much of the site's content, or not, maybe not much, but at least some of it is like writers, like any wiki, like people can submit edits and stuff, right? It's not like it's all one person.
I would assume. Yeah, I mean, like, I've made jokes in the past about, like, oh, I don't like this. I'm not going to change it, though. But I want, presumably I could have, right? I mean, that's the assumption
I think so. By the way, for listeners who really don't know, Seerowpedia is the Wikipedia for Animorphs. So that wasn't obvious.
It's got to be obvious, right?
What do you think? Should we squash this beef with Seerowpedia, or should we keep the fires burning?
Oh, man. I do kind of love beefing.
Listen, I'm going to be straight with you, Seerowpedia, because you seem very earnest and genuine, unlike us.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make me feel bad, because I'm not the kind of person to regret my actions.
No,
but,
no.
Yes,
never.
No, it does feel, the tone of that email in terms of, like, boy, I don't want to do anything bad is so different from the tone with which we are saying, haha, Seerowpedia sucks, I think.
You might say we're a couple of Megamorphs.
You might say that.
I think truthfully, our core issue with Seerowpedia came from the goofs sections. Would you say that's correct?
I would say that's correct.
And maybe sometimes we make fun of the fact that some of the books don't really have detailed summaries or something.
Yeah, like every once in a while, like a book will just not have a summary and we'll be like, get your shit together. But
I think we really just thought some of the goofs were silly. And so
Yeah.
we decided to say, fuck this entire website, is what happened.
Yeah, I think whoever's writing these goofs, and I'm going to presume it's you, Seerowpedia, is kind of a gigantic nerd.
Oh, okay, I mean, regardless of... obviously, the person who runs the Animorphs wiki is a gigantic nerd. There's no question about that.
I just wanted to make sure I threw a personal attack in there for the beef.
Yeah, right. We will keep this beef going. We are not going to squash it. If you're worried, Seerowpedia, that someone like wrote a slur or something, that didn't
Yeah.
happen.
No, nobody actually behaved badly in any way.
No one's trolling online. There's no flame wars in the comments.
Oh, to be honest, I do think there was one time that I would pinpoint if I knew where it was, but I don't know where it was because I'm not paying attention. Where like the trivia or something, like dead named K.A. Applegate's trans daughter, but that almost certainly was written like years ago before she came out and just could, and I was just like, oh, someone actually should change that one. But I don't remember where that is, so, whatever. Who cares?
I don't remember the context because depending on how it's phrased, but I'm a little more transphobic than you, so I might let it slide.
No, like I don't care if it just says what the dedication was and it's got the dead name or whatever. It was like one single bullet point on one single page that was obviously not put there maliciously and was just the sort of thing that if there was a team of people keeping up a wiki, right, you would expect it to have been fixed, but I didn't really expect it to be fixed because like this is a wiki for a series that's fucking 25 years old, right? So 30 years, I don't even know. So yeah, like it's nobody's actually thinking that like the behavior here is unacceptable. It's so bad.
No,
what are you doing?
You turned me around. I do think there might as well be a slur on Seerowpedia. This is unacceptable.
Okay.
Fuck you. Don't ever fucking write to us again. I don't want to read your hate-filled rhetoric anymore. They also, by the way, signed off with a bunch of weird symbols and like the numbers 1488 over and over again. I don't know what this is about.
Oh, really? Well,
no,
in that case.
Come on. No. We're just playing around.
You got me for a second. I'm sorry. You're spreading misinformation on the podcast, and I'm falling for it.
Let it be said here, once and for all, Seerowpedia is not a neo-Nazi. Okay? I'm setting the record straight. I don't want that rumor out there. I don't want to hear that kind of shit. Seerowpedia is a fan of the show now. And Seerowpedia, you should become a patron.
That would be pretty good if Seerowpedia was one of our patrons. We could brag about that one.
We'd start saying officially endorsed by Seerowpedia and everywhere we could.
I
might start saying it now.
I would put it in the opening. I would rewrite the opening.
Right. Anyway, thanks for apologizing, and we accept your apology, and we'll it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Don't lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all the emails. It was a big week. It was a big week for emails.
That was a great email. I'm really happy about that email.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. Let's talk about Alternamorphs 2, the second passage.
Oh shit, I forgot about that book.
Yeah. That's what we're doing this week.
Yeah, okay. So we already talked about like choose your own adventures and all that stuff last time. So that's been covered. You don't really need
the format. We don't need to reiterate. You get it.
Right. Yeah, we've done that before. So as I mentioned at the end of last podcast, this book we do know the ghostwriter for. This is from Emily Costello, who did one other book for the series, which was the second Helmicrons book.
Right.
So that's pretty exciting. Now, this book actually came first. So, presumably, unless there's some weird production thing going on, they liked her in this book enough to bring her back, or she enjoyed doing this book enough to come back and they didn't have anybody else.
I just had a feeling of dread when you said the second Helmicrons book, as if I hadn't already read this. I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad. Oh wait, I already know. I already read it. Why am I scared? But yeah,
Well, you're gonna have to talk about it. Yeah, there are no
that's.
Helmicrons in this book. Spoilers for the
I'm actually
episode.
gonna say this. I'm gonna go out. I'm just gonna say this
Hmm.
right up top
Hmm.
to really set the stage
Hmm.
before we even get to the cover, which of course we're gonna get to.
Yeah.
I think Alternamorphs 2 is better than Alternamorphs 1. In fact, I think it's maybe at least twice as good as the first one.
I mean, I don't know how to put a number like twice on it, but
Like,
100%.
for
I
example, if the
can't
first book were a
imagine.
1 out of 10, then this book would be a 2 out of 10. For
I
example.
can't imagine disputing that this book is better than the first book. Like it's much better. The writing is much better right off the bat. They definitely did fix some of the structural issues in it that were in the first one. So like we'll talk about that, how it's a little bit different and how it is different in ways that are better. Here's the thing though, you can still read it in order. Like they didn't actually fix that part, but
Well, yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
okay. Okay. Like I just where the chapters are, I think you wouldn't miss too much. And well, we'll talk about it when we get to the end.
Yeah. So the cover.
Yeah, the cover. So similar to last time, where it's like all made up of what was I don't remember the word you used, but it's all the little A's, the mosaic or whatever, but not
Yeah.
really. And it's got like a lion on the first one. This one's got a hawk on it.
Yep. And it's the exact same. You can look up in the left and
Yeah.
see the Tobias hawk, and it's the exact same hawk face.
It's literally just Tobias the hawk.
The lazy, at least the lion was a different image. This is just they just dragged and expanded this shit. It sucks.
I'm almost wondering that lion, I think at the back of like one of the chronicles or something, Kay Applegate has a picture of herself turning into a lion, and now I'm wondering if that's the same lion.
I would bet so much that it is. It has to be.
You do at least turn into a hawk in this one.
Okay, so it's honest.
It is honest, although it does. This is not any hawk. This is Tobias. So, and you're not Tobias. Yeah.
Nobody is. There's a different secret message on this one.
Yes, this one says know the secret.
What does that just the secret that there are Animorphs and Yeerks, I guess?
I think that had to do with like the online fan club or fan pages or
Was
something.
Was there an ARG associated with this?
But or wasn't there a game that we're going to cover called Know the Secret too?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I don't remember the names, but that sounds sort of like it could be correct.
It's definitely a phrase associated with the larger franchise, though not the like main series books themselves.
Yes, Animorphs Know the Secret, I think, is a PC video game or something.
Yeah. Most of the rest of this is the same. It says watch Animorphs on TV, and it's got that little thing. The first one didn't have that.
Wow.
Yeah, basically it's all the same other than that.
Cool.
It's not a very interesting cover.
No, which is why we shouldn't spend another 10 minutes talking about it.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, kind of boring. It's too bad because on the main Animorphs you get all these fun you get all these fun morphs, and then you get the quotes, and then you get the inner covers. On these they're just kind of like fuck it, slap a different animal this time.
Let me tell you what it should have been. It should have been the normal, morph into a thing. Only for the human, their face is cut out, and you take a picture of yourself and put it where their face would be.
That could be cool, and there could be an inner picture too, and it's just got a little "your face here" dotted line.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, your face here, like this, like you. It's like it's got a big question mark, like who is it? It's you, and you put your own picture in there.
100%. And I mean, both of these books Is it both of them? No, it's only the first one that I have. I have my name written in little 9-year-old me's handwriting up at the top. I almost
Wow.
guarantee you, if they'd done that cutout thing, at least one of these, I would have a little glue stick picture of myself in it.
Oh my God.
There's almost no way I wouldn't have.
How cool would that be?
I know. Missed opportunity.
Yeah. Missed opportunity. Sounds like me when I'm about to watch a Frank Darabont film. I say, this is a missed opportunity.
Jesus Christ.
Or perhaps like me when I'm about to read a Stephen King novella. This sounds like a missed opportunity.
What are you doing?
What about this? When I'm a little bit thirsty, and it's a few years ago when Starry wasn't out yet. I think this is a missed opportunity.
Christ.
Okay. All right.
Holy
Let me know.
fuck.
Write in to the podcast, folks, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. We'll read it on the air, and you can tell us which of those was your favorite.
Yeah, that's the only discussion question we're interested in for next week.
Yeah, I don't think we said the email address for people to write into before. It's in the
Well,
description. You can find it if you want it.
They heard all that shit and they were like, I do not want to listen to all this again.
All right, let's talk about this book.
Okay. So, we get another introduction. Rachel, remember last time Jake did an introduction. This time Rachel does the introduction.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that I have much to say about this that I didn't last time, other than just like, God damn, they so badly want to do their exposition intro in every single book. They can't help themselves, huh?
Well, this intro, I do think is an improvement over the first one because it does not explicitly mention the fact that you are reading a book. It is a little bit more in universe consistent because it's just like, hey, you're joining us. This is real. This is scary. And then it doesn't say you'll be turning to chapters and reading your book. So I do think it's better. Already the book is better.
That is true. It does not at any point necessitate its own book-itude.
Holy fucking shit. Holy shit. What the fuck?
All right, you have no room to talk after what you just did with the mist.
Necessitate its own bookitude. Oh my god.
Fuck off.
No, I think it's good. Yeah, it's Rachel. Also, I wonder if that was the idea, like, oh, each book will have a different character introing it if we ever make more than 2.
That is probably, and that, I mean, you know what? That's the order, Jake, Rachel. So the next one would have been Tobias or Axe or both.
But like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's just like one page. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does not matter at all.
It's not fun.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
not like there's some tie-in to the content.
Yeah. I wonder how much of the decisions in this are Emily Costello's and how much are Kay Applegate's. Like, did Kay Applegate say, do Rachel for this intro? Or was she like, well, last time they did an intro and it was Jake, I should do Rachel?
I have to assume she had no interest or stake in any of this shit.
Or maybe Tanya, since I guess she was the one who pushed for the Alternamorphs. I don't know.
This sounds like this could easily have just been some Scholastic editors, like, no-brainer. Well, we have an order. Let's just do what those books do, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sure. Whatever. All right. So, okay. This book, first thing you notice reading this book is that it is not in continuity with the first one, right? You don't... This doesn't happen after the first one. This is just a totally different Alternamorphs.
So not only are the Alternamorphs books not canon to the main series, they're not even canon to each other.
No, they're not canon to each other. Even though the first one has like one correct storyline, right? Like it's not like it's not like, oh, because there are like a dozen different endings. No, there's really only one ending in the first one. They could have put this in continuity, but you know, they didn't.
Which almost begs the question, why even number them at all? Why not just say Alternamorphs, the first journey, or not even the first journey, just call it Alternamorphs. You go back in time and do some other shit. Alternamorphs. This shit
Yeah.
happens.
I mean,
because you don't have to read them in order.
I get putting numbers on them just so that, like, oh, collect them all or whatever. But yes, the fact that
Yeah.
they're called, like, first journey, next passage does kind of
Right.
imply, like, this just could have had a totally. This could have been. What if it was called the passage, the journey? You know, I don't know.
God, that's somehow worse, but not by much.
Yeah, well, I mean, the journey was already the Helmicron. Well, would become the Helmicron's book, but maybe that's where
I
she
feel
got the
ill.
idea.
I think I'm gonna puke.
All right, so you remember last time I was like, "There's really only two ways you do this that are obvious, unless you do something crazy," which maybe they should have. And one is that you're there from the beginning, and the other one is that instead of recruiting David, they recruit you. So in this one, you're David, right? Yeah, you're the new kid at school. You're a loner. You're out in the construction site because you're a respected loner who hates them all. You're like throwing rocks at a concrete block and it breaks open. You find the blue box, the Escafil device, and you post the messages online. You know, the stuff David did. And you know, you whatever, you get the buyer, you come home, and you come back into the exact confrontation that David came back into with like Axe and Marco and David's dad, who's your dad, and Visser 3 shows up, turns into a giant monster. The other Animorphs show up. There's a giant fight. And the first choice you get here, and honestly we could keep going, but I'll just stop here. The first choice
Yes,
that you are
please.
given is Visser 3 says, do you give me the box or die? And that's your choice. Do you give him the box or do you say no box for you?
Like that soup Nazi guy.
Yeah, the box Nazi.
Right. Okay. So the fact that this is David, what is it? The Discovery? Is that the first David book?
Yes.
The
Discovery.
Do not sound confident.
It is the Discovery.
Okay. Doc, am I gonna live? Yes. You know, you don't want to hear that. I mean, I'm slow. I haven't read these books as many times as you. It wasn't until he found the blue box that I was really like, wait, am I David? I thought maybe I'm just another fucking kid. I thought maybe I was going to find the time matrix at the construction site. I was hoping.
Or maybe you would you would run into the Animorphs and they'd be like, you're the
Right.
seventh kid now.
Right.
The first
Right.
one's there too.
Or I'm just the sixth kid again. Like they're just going to repeat that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was very strange and confusing to read this right after one. Also kind of thinking they would maybe be connected. Or at least not connected, but at least I'm still me instead of someone else. But here's the thing that's just so weird about this is, yes, you say you are David, but it's more like you are in David's position. And yes, in the beginning, you do the exact same thing as him putting the blue box on eBay or whatever. I hate calling it the blue box, by the way. I don't want to say that anymore.
Say Escafil device.
Okay. Escafil device. But it's like you're not acting. It's not like your choices are now kill Jake. Like you're not like evil. You're not crazy. You don't have a choice that's like, should you dump Sadler's body in the elevator or stuff it in the closet?
Right.
That's not what you're doing.
Yeah, no, it is like you are. What if you were in the exact same position David was, but you were you instead of David? Which,
but it's,
you know, that's kind of fair because of, you know, you're supposed to have the reader self-insert, and I feel like a lot of readers would read the David trilogy and be like, but I wouldn't do that, so that's not fair. You could read it as a what if David was better.
Yeah, it's just confusing because they also don't call you David ever.
Right. No, you just it's just you instead of David, but everything goes exactly the same.
I just would have preferred if they just committed to it. Like, if I'm gonna be David, just fucking say I'm David. Let it just be like, what would you do if you were David? Because this isn't me. This is David. It's two can pick a lane. Is all I'm saying. Pick a lane. It's, I mean, once again, this is, I mean, why there's no universe where someone would pick this book up before reading another Animorphs book. But
Yeah.
if you did, it is just all of this is complete nonsense to anyone who doesn't know about Animorphs. It's
Yeah,
just
no, because they do redo the whole scene where Visser 3 is like, I'm a giant monster with 4 arms, and they have fucking, spikes on the end that I shoot out, and yeah, like when we talked about that scene in the book, we were like, this is chaos. You can't even imagine what this scene looks like because it's too insane.
it's quite a difference in opening from maybe I'll check out my sister's birthday party to
Right.
holy fucking shit, my dad just got his fingers shot off. It's really, it puts you in a different mindset.
Yes, it is completely crazy. And I mean, I will say, first choice is not to morph. You get choices that aren't
Right.
to morph, which is,
Yes.
that's, I think, already a huge improvement.
Immediately a giant difference.
Yes.
You do get the sense from reading the first two choices and looking at the, chapter numbers that you're like, probably, and also from just knowing the plot of the book,
Mhm.
I probably know which one is the quote unquote right choice.
Yeah, I do think that a lot of the choices in this book are more obvious, but maybe that's because they actually make sense instead
Oh,
of just
right.
you forgot about patrolman. Yeah, so but and especially if you remember the plot of the books, that's true. But I
The
do
other, yeah.
like that this first choice is like kind of a gimme because where it's just like, okay, obviously you don't give Visser 3 the box. You don't have to know anything to know that you don't just give it to the bad guy, right? Like obviously that's
Sure.
bad. Um
Sure.
I think one of my favorites that I ever saw in another Choose Your Own Adventure was some Goosebumps book where the first choice was like, do you go investigate the scary monster or do you stay home? I think I might have said this in the other episode, and it's like, if you pick stay home, it's like, okay, cool, nothing bad happens to you and you live a boring life and the story sucks, go back and try again. Do something fun. So I kind of
That's
like that
pretty
the
good.
first one kind of is just an obvious
That's
do
like
the
in
story.
Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door.
Uh-huh.
Listeners are gonna like this. Steven's gonna like this, I bet. In the very beginning, they're like, Mario, will you help us on our quest? And you can say yes or no. And if you say no, they're like, come on, Mario, we know you want to help us. And you can just keep saying no. And if you keep saying it like a dozen times, they're finally just like, all right, fine. And the game ends and you actually have to restart the game.
I think there was something like that in, I want to say it was like Custom Robo, where like if you said, they're like, you
Custom
need this thing
Robo.
to beat the game, and if you say no enough times, they say, okay, you can't have it. And you're just sitting there like, okay, well, the game's going on, but how do I beat it? And then if you get to the final boss, they're like, what do you mean you don't have it? Oh, it's all the way across the map. You can't fast travel. You have to walk like 15 minutes across the map and back to bring it here because fuck you.
Yeah, that's how you teach those little shits to get in line. Reminds me of Admiral Holdo teaching that motherfucker Poe Dameron a lesson.
Right. In the sense that a lesson was taught?
Yeah, because he's all he's rash and
Hmm.
hasty and rebellious.
Right.
I mean, they all are
The
technically.
rebels.
Right, yeah, by definition, that they are rebellious.
Yeah. This is a good plot line in a well-written movie.
Correct.
We love it. Fuck you if you
I
don't.
because when we say it like that, then it sounds like we're being insincere because we
Oh,
usually
okay.
are. So it's
I see.
tricky.
Well, I am being sincere.
Right.
Stop listening if you didn't like The Last Jedi.
Okay. That means use Seerowpedia. What else did I want to say about this? I guess not. Oh, actually, here's what I'll say. So in this scene, if you do choose to refuse,
Yeah.
you get yerked.
Yeah.
And I actually thought this was cool because you get a first person perspective of the yerk pool of being yerked, which I don't think we've ever got before.
Yeah, not really. I mean, like, we've had Animorphs, like, walk the pier, because they had to pretend, and yeah, no, I did like that part. And in general, I think the writing in this book is decent.
Yeah, and you get, like, it's scary. The Yerk is taking over your brain. You can't look back at your parents as they're being taken. It's
Mhm.
it's very unsettling. So I thought that was pretty good. I also think they should have just marketed these books maybe as being they are two different approaches in the sense that one is you were there from the beginning, and this one's from the halfway point. That's another
Mhm.
way that they could have advertised these
Yeah.
as sort of making them feel distinct. But anyway, the right choice, of course, is to say no, or no, is to what's the right choice? The right choice is to say no. I think I
Yeah.
said it backwards before.
Yeah, no, well, whatever. Yeah, you're supposed to say no. You're supposed to say we won't give you the box. Um, and if you do that, then the fight happens as usual, and you get rescued by the Animorphs the same way that you did in the book, or the same way David did in the book, except instead of like waking up in an alleyway, you wake up in Cassie's barn. So it is a little different already. Um,
Mhm.
the scene here is very similar. A lot of the dialogue is the same as in in book 20. You get your morphing power and you get to turn into a horse here because you're at the barn. Um, and first of all, before we get there, I should mention Axe is a disturbingly pretty boy.
I loved that. I really missed him being disturbingly pretty.
Yeah, that was good. I really liked that. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of the phrase where you're getting told about the Yerks and you refer to controllers as slaves of the saddest sort. I don't know.
They're not like those happy, well-behaved slaves.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess I get it because you don't even get to move your own eyeballs or what, but like, yeah, it's just an
Yeah.
odd phrase. And I think the phrase is made odder by the fact that like it's got that alliteration so it stands out.
If
Like it feels
anything, human slaves in our history didn't know how good they had it
You're right.
compared to this.
No, you're 100% right. On the nose,
Yeah,
you've hit
and
it.
you can quote me on that.
All right, I'm gonna quote you on that.
Seerowpedia, add that
Don't
to your wiki page.
don't know how good you have it.
We have a direct line to them now. We can just call things out for them to add.
This rules, honestly. I'm really excited. This is all I'm going to be thinking about all episode. I don't
Do
care
you
about
think
Alternamorphs.
by the end of this podcast, let's place bets now,
Uh-huh.
will we be acknowledged, emailed, or like mentioned on Twitter or something, any kind of acknowledgement by someone connected to Animorphs officially? So whether it be KA or maybe David Mattingly, what do you think? You think it's possible without us reaching out to them first?
Uh, I I think that if we actually used our Twitter, I think David Mattingly is around on Twitter. It's possible he could see us
He
if we
actually
reached
might
out to
follow
like
us. I'm not sure. I think we might have followed him and he followed us back.
yeah, like if we actually interacted with like the broader Animorphs community, I think there would be some chance of it. But
That's what our Reddits
outside of
are.
that, no.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
I
We'll
guess
see.
that's true.
Anyway, yeah, reading this, I couldn't quite remember. I was like, is this exactly literally the same thing as book 20? It
It's
pretty much
very
is.
similar. Yeah, it's very similar, except that you go. I do think there is already some different, like the fact that you, through no choice or difference of your own, end up waking up in the barn as opposed to an alleyway. That actually feels like a bit of a difference, right? Because like
Oh,
David woke up in an alleyway while they were debating: do we just leave him to get infested or do we reveal it? Like you already being in the barn in the sanctuary feels like you're waking up with a less antagonistic relationship already. Like there's not
true.
this edge of like they've already decided, I think he's a good kid. I think we're going to do it. We can give him the morph immediately. He can try the horse and like it feels more like you're being included than David might have felt in that situation.
I do think that's mostly accidental just because they didn't have as many pages to write. So they just had to
Yeah.
condense it.
And they
But
had to give you a horse so you could morph immediately because uh spoilers, this is the only time you're going to acquire a morph in this book. which is a little weird.
That's true. You also do get to say, "Ree." That sounded more like Scooby-Doo than a horse.
Yeah,
That's supposed to be a
Scooby-Doo and a
horse.
horse are they're similar, right?
I guess they are now that I think about it. Ree.
Yeah, you can't make a horse noise, make a Scooby-Doo noise.
That's what I always say. It's like when God closes a door, he opens a window. If you can't make a horse noise, make a Scooby-Doo noise.
When life gives you horses, make Scooby-Doos.
We're pumping out the t-shirts this week. We got that one. We got doesn't necessitate bookitude, whatever the fuck you said.
Yeah. All right.
Our cafe.
Are you ready for this book to just go crazy here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking. Okay, so then you've met the Animorphs, and you remember maybe what David might have done next, but what happens next to you is that the Ellimist stops time, and he shows up. And he doesn't show up for all the Animorphs, just you. None of the others. And he's like, you have angered me by altering space-time, so now you have to pass a test. And he gives you 2 buttons, and he's like, do you want to press button A or button B? And that's your second choice, is whether you press button A or button B.
Now, okay. We'll get to the choice in a minute.
Yeah.
But the Ellimist here, our old pal Tumen.
Uh-huh.
He's like, okay, first of all, they never really explicitly say what he's referring to when he says you altered the strands of space-time, but presumably he is breaking the fourth wall, and he's mad at you, the reader, for altering history by reading this book.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm reading it, and I'm just like, you didn't do anything differently than what happened in the story, which the Ellimist didn't do anything about, other than not be David. So, like, were you supposed to be David, but it was actually you, the reader, because you started reading this book?
So, like, I love, that's a cool, I mean, we said last week, I said I wished that it was all time matrix or something. I'd love if they made the choices in universe make sense. That's great if they're going to do that, but they don't commit to it. They just say that, and then they never, if in canon reading this book, it's like, why is he mad at me? I don't know.
Because I mean, it already feels really petty, right? Like, because in the canon of the book, you're just like, the Ellimist doesn't really get like very mad at individuals, because it's kind of like what did you do? Like, fucking, what did you, the pawn, do that wasn't the Ellimist pushing you around or Krayak pushing you around? Like, you're just a dude. So, like, how is he fucking mad at you? You should be mad at Krayak. Like, I get why Krayak gets mad at Jake. Krayak's a sore loser. He's all like, oh, you're fucking, you can't believe you moved that piece. That fucking piece. I wish you didn't have that piece. I'm going to smash it. Right. But Tumen's not like that.
I legitimately, when I read this, thought this was Krayak pretending to be the Ellimist to trick you, because you wouldn't know the difference or something. Because it's so out of character the way he's acting, like a vengeful god, like Old Testament god, like go sacrifice your firstborn. It's like, what the fuck is this? This doesn't read like, and now you can't even say, oh, well, it was early in the series. Like, there'd been plenty of Ellimist up until this point to know he's not such a dick.
Yeah. No, like, reading it reads like fan fiction Ellimist. Right, like, everything about this reads like fan fiction element. Like, everything up to, like, and then he stopped time, and he yelled at you, and he was like, all right, you've got to pass a test. Here's 2 buttons, you know? Like, this is not what the Ellimist, like, presents you a choice that isn't really a choice because he's a trickster god, and like, he doesn't, like, he can do anything, but he doesn't. He acts a certain way, and this just feels like a fan fiction writer. Like, when he comes in and you're like, why did you do this? And he says, because you've angered me, which is just not how he talks. I got very, like, what the hell are you doing, you motherfuckers, Dumbledore vibes off of that.
Yeah, which everyone understands.
Hopefully they do.
Remember when Dumbledore was like, Harry Potter! In the movie?
I do remember that, yeah.
Remember when, get this, The
Yeah.
millennials will love this.
Oh, yeah.
Dumbledore! All the millennials just popped off in the
They
car.
sure did. I
They
think
shot out of their
older
dicks.
Zoomers love it too. They might even love it more because it's like a childhood thing and not like a teenage thing.
I don't know. They might think it's cringe.
Hmm. I mean, my brother likes it because he saw it when he was like 7 or some shit. But like
I don't think your
I didn't show it to
bloodline
him,
is normal.
and I didn't show it to him, and he is not online, so I don't know.
All right. Well, anyway, this choice. Now, another big differentiator from the first Alternamorphs.
Yes.
Essentially, what's happening here, which maybe wasn't obvious until I got a little further, but I think we can tell the listeners.
Yes, I think that 100%.
There are the A and the B. There are basically two storylines in this book that so you can. It's not that. Well, I don't know, right or wrong. We can talk about later, but you kind of can choose both and explore two different threads.
Yes. To this book's credit, there are two major pathways and not two stories that go one after the other and only one pathway.
Yes, there are times in this book where there are actually nested choices.
Yes.
There are choices within choices, even if they maybe still lead to a bad end ultimately, it is a definite improvement from the first one.
Yes, that is a huge difference. It's good. That is something that I really think is to the credit of this part. Now, what's not to the credit of this part is that it's just fucking button A and button B. You have an Ellimist. He could have presented these storylines however he wanted. Like, he could have been like, you have to pass a test. What's more important to you, like this or that? And you'd be like, well, that's cryptic. I don't know what those two qualities mean. But then whichever way. No, do you want to press this button or that one? And you have no clue what that means or why he chose a button. You can do anything.
I do think it's kind of funny. I mean,
It is
I kind of
funny.
like it because it's funny. Just to have a remote control. I was hoping that you would have a remote for every choice and like now the buttons are this. Which button do you press? That would just be the in-universe embodiment of the choices.
Honestly, that would kind of rule.
Yeah,
that would be like that.
Yeah, I like meta shit. So I wanted this to just go full meta, but this is it really.
Yeah, and again, this reads like a stupid fan fiction or like a rough draft, right? Like, the Ellimist is going to present you two choices, and they're going to be the two storylines. I know I want to do that structurally. It's two fucking buttons. I'll write what it is later. He'll present them somehow, and you'll take it. Right now, it's buttons.
Just push a button, A or B. All right. Well, I started with A.
Yes, A is clearly correct. Can you imagine if Morpheus was like, do you take the A pill or the B pill? And then he didn't say anymore? Like, he didn't tell you what they were?
I'm imagining that right now. And it is funny.
Yes, A is, and I think A is actually what you're supposed to do first.
In front of you is a remote control with two buttons. Oh, man. I gotta write my Animorphs Matrix crossover.
Hell yeah.
I had an idea for a good crossover. Oh, what was it? I was like, I should have written that fan fiction.
Did you say it on air?
No, I thought of it like the other day. Now I can't. I'm like, I didn't write it down.
Yeah, then nobody can help you.
No, no one can help me. Listeners, if you know what I was thinking of, write in.
Avatar. Dark Tower.
One of them was Animorphs.
Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't think it was Star Wars. No. I'm gonna have to think about it.
Okay. So if you press button A, you go to the Isquart homeworld.
It's for all our Canadian listeners. If you press button A.
If you remember book 26, The Attack, when they were on the Isquart homeworld, so you and all the Animorphs just show up on the Isquart homeworld, and you got to fight the Howlers again, even though they got beat before, even though this must be pre-David. It certainly can't be post-David, and they had to beat the Howlers after they met David. And the Animorphs remember having done it before. Like, it's a whole thing. They're like, oh, we're back on the Iskort planet where we beat the Howlers. Well, we did it once. Which, didn't they beat them permanently by putting memory? Like, what? I don't understand what's going on here in canon. Doesn't make sense. Especially because then the Ellimist is like, well, you're right. It is too easy. I'm going to erase all of your memories so you don't remember how you did it before. And the Ellimist says, okay, time for your second choice. The Ellimist says, all right, so I know the only morph you've acquired is a horse. So you're going to need some morphs. So I'm going to just give you some morphs that you can have. And you can either choose to have access to Andalite, Shark, and Komodo dragon morphs, or Fly, Hawk, and Hork-Bajir morphs.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It muddies the waters so much further after wondering, oh wait, am I David or am I sort of David or not? And now we jumped right 5 books ahead to when David wasn't involved anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But the Animorphs remember it. So are we fast forwarding in time? Okay, but then
they didn't have to remember it either because they stopped remembering it. Like, what's happening?
But then clearly, like, the David stuff didn't happen because you are in the David position and they don't refer to it at all.
So are you, the reader, retroactively muddling the timeline by removing David because you're reading this book later?
Right, and like,
maybe this book does take place in book 40.
Like, was I now in book 25 or 26, whatever the attack was? Was I in that now, like, retroactively? Or was I not, and I'm learning about it for the first time? I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm going to have some thoughts on that when we finish the whole book, but, like, both plot lines. But for now, it's insane.
Well, presumably, at least on one point, I think the Ellimist, I think it's not like I don't know. It doesn't make sense if we've done this before or not. They have done it before. So what I'm trying to say is I do think the Ellimist, this is sort of a recreation of it as a test, as opposed to, like, he didn't literally put us back there. I think this is a simulation.
Because things are going to go the same way, which they wouldn't do if the Animorphs had already done it, even if their memories were wiped, because the Howlers have already gotten the kiss thing. It's the whole thing. It's a weird decision.
It's a mess.
Yeah. And like, if they had just been all like, wow, we've never been here before, I don't know what this is, and it's like, we're going to do book 26 early, then it wouldn't be this confusing. But because they already, it really does feel like this book chronologically takes place around book 40 when it came out, and you, the reader, have retroactively made it so that the David trilogy didn't happen by being David during the time of the David trilogy.
Yeah.
It's weird as fuck.
Why can the Alternamorphs writers not come up with anything besides retreads of already existing books?
Yeah.
It's the least interesting, or at least if you're going to do that, like, make that the thing. You should be saying on the front cover, you can change the past now. You got the time matrix. How would you do this book? But it's just, you just follow along with the plot of a book you already read. It's like, what's the point? It's so lazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, already at the beginning, I'm thinking, like, if I were doing redoing the David thing, the first thing that I would do is I would give you the option to not try to sell the blue box, and maybe you end up giving yourself morphing powers and going off without the Animorphs if you choose not to try to sell it. You know what I mean? Like, and now you have a totally different story. Like, yeah, like, very quickly it should be diverging from the initial story, but this one doesn't. It diverges from the initial story by jumping to a different book and doing that book instead. And then doing that's
so crazy.
We're going to see it. You do the plot.
It's so crazy to be like, hey, you're David, and now let's go to the Iskort planet. Like, right away.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? What is this? What book are you doing? Why am
Yeah.
I David? What's the point of this?
I mean, here's the thing. Everybody loved The Attack. Everybody loved
Right.
the Escort book. And everybody loved the David trilogy. So let's just do
Yeah.
both of those.
I guess that's all it was just a data point. These were our best-selling books. Put them in there.
Yeah. How did you feel about the line, "Hi, I'm Eric"?
I wrote a note that says, "Oh, great, Eric's here."
Like, I don't think they even described him being there. Like, I think they just inserted the sentence, "Hi, I'm Eric," if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Hi, you say, "Hi, I'm Eric King." And then Jake talks and that you don't acknowledge him. Just like I would in real life, I just ignore him. I didn't hear anything. He puts his hand out for me to shake and just walk right past.
Yeah, some other, okay, sure, Eric, I don't know. I'm new. What do you want?
Fuck off. I'm Eric. I'm uninterested. These I love this assortment of morphs you have to choose
Yes.
from.
Now,
So fucking random.
I do think that if you look at them, the choice is very obvious what you should pick. But I also think that because there's 3 on each side and 6 total, it's you kind of are looking at it like, what the hell? I'm just getting thrown morphs. What the fuck? I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
and yes, it is very like it is kind of insane. The Ellimist just being like, I'll just give you some morphs, and you have to pick which ones are right, and you don't know. You just morphed a horse. You've known about this for 20 minutes. You're on an alien planet. Pick some morphs.
Or you've known about this for multiple months. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, no, obviously you haven't, because otherwise you would have had more morphs by now. But then, shouldn't the Animorphs be looking at you and going, "Hey, he wasn't here the first time we did this"? The timeline makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, the Animorphs are like, well, new guy's here with us this time. Because you're a new guy.
But we should have been new guy before this happened. So it doesn't.
Right.
I don't get it.
No, you're right. None of it.
Well, anyway,
none of it works.
I think we go through Andalite Shark Dragon first.
Yes. So again, this is one of the nested choices, which is pretty cool that there's actually a nested choice here. So if you pick Andalite Shark and Komodo Dragon, which seems to me to be obviously the wrong choice, because whatever, we'll get there. If you've read the book, then you don't immediately.
But it's got an
die.
Andalite in it, so if you're a kid, you want to go
true.
for that Andalite. But yes,
that's true. You do, and honestly, they all sound pretty cool.
Right.
Okay, so if you do this, okay, we're on the Escort planet, and the Howlers show up and attack, or the first Howler shows up and attacks the way that it did in the Attack, immediately, and everybody has to go battle morphs, and so immediately you think, God damn, why did I take a set of morphs that has a shark in it? Like, we're not even, like, fucking, there's no water. That was a stupid decision. All right, well, it's either Komodo Dragon or Andalite. So now you get a choice. You can either be the Komodo Dragon or the Andalite. And now this is a dead end. Both of these kill you.
They don't even let you choose shark just to see yourself die that way.
I think it would have been fun to have a chapter where they're like, you forgot sharks can't breathe on land.
The first book would have done that for sure.
Yeah, for sure it would have. Yeah, no, if you turn into an Andalite, you get killed because, like, yeah, if you read the book, you remember Axe got fucked up by the Kirao howls, and so you do too. And if you turn into a Komodo Dragon, you're, like, pretty strong, but, like, you can't actually beat a Howler. Which, of course, you can't. Like, we already knew the Battle Morphs didn't kill the Howlers if you read the book. If you didn't, then you're probably just completely confused and have no idea what's going on. But
you are like, what the fuck is this book?
Yeah.
There's some fun stuff here. There's some good high level 4D chess strategizing from Jake when he says to Tobias, "Get some altitude." Great, Jake. Tobias never would have thought of that without your leadership.
I wonder if that was in the first book, because this fight does basically go the way the fight goes
If it was,
in
I
the
probably
first
said the
book.
same thing when we read it. And I also like when he says to Eric, like, fuck off, Eric, basically. I don't even remember. Eric just is like, I can't really help. And Jake's just like, well,
Yeah.
stay out of the fucking way, dude. I don't need
Yeah,
your
I think he
shit.
does say that in the first one too, and you think you did say that. But yeah, Eric is there to spot. And they do make a point of being like, you don't know why Eric can't fight, because you don't know who the hell Eric is or what he is or any of this.
Right. And still nobody is really acknowledging that. I guess you said they're like, oh, the new kid's here, but nobody's like, hey, now it's maybe we have an extra person, and hey, why can they morph into the things they're morphing into? When did that happen?
Yeah.
They're just going with it.
Yeah, they're just going with it. Whatever. How do you feel about the onomatopoeia erg 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 for the sound of your tail growing as a Komodo dragon?
That's pretty good.
I don't know that that's what it would sound like, but that seems to
Erg,
be.
erg, erg, erg. Maybe that's what you're saying.
You're making that noise.
Erg, erg.
Growing a tail over there, John?
What can I say? Or I'm just happy to see you.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, like, it is just, we skip a lot of the intro chapters with the Isquirt where we actually describe what's going on, and we go straight to the fight with the Howler, and it is kind of, again, like, it feels a little, I mean, it doesn't feel that rushed here because you're dying, it's a dead end, so that's, but like, when we get into the branch that continues, it is very like, all right, we're just kind of blowing through this, and again, you are expected to know what's happening here, because otherwise you're gonna get lost.
Yeah, I need some lore clarification because I don't really remember the specifics of the Howler screech.
Yeah.
Like, why is a Komodo dragon immune to it?
So this was discussed, but not in very much detail, and I think there were some bits that didn't make a lot of sense. But the general idea is that the screech is designed to, like, kill intelligent species. So it's worse if you are like a higher species, right? Like humans and Andalites are going to get hit far worse than like lizards.
Okay, because in this book they say sentient species.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like that's just a very, like, sentience, I feel like that's a little wishy-washy. Like, people don't always agree on what that
Yeah.
means. So
Yeah,
I'm like, aren't all the morphs sentient? Kind
yeah,
of.
and they do say that in the first book too, that it's it hits sentient species.
Yeah.
And I think there's also a weird thing where like Rachel is like more affected as a grizzly bear than Marco is as a gorilla.
That's just weird
Yeah,
as
like
fuck.
there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't quite work with
I
that.
do not
But,
remember this stuff, really. I just forgot about the howling.
well, it doesn't like happen ever outside of that book, and that was
Right.
like a year ago. So.
But you'd think that would be I don't know. Anyway, I do wonder which Andalite you morphed into. Just an Andalite. But who?
That's true, yeah. I mean, do you wonder that about the
Yes.
other animals
Yeah,
though?
yeah, yeah.
Like which
I was
Komodo
like,
dragon was it?
yeah, I was thinking maybe I'll be Jaws if I turn into a
Mm,
shark. I mean, if I was gonna be one.
yeah. Well, that would have been a good reason to have a shark chapter in here.
Also, I will never forgive myself for harming Marco, because when you're an Andalite, you accidentally get him with your tail or something.
Yeah.
I didn't
I mean,
like that.
one thing that I did note in this book is there's not a lot of Marco usage.
I mean,
Like
is there a lot of anyone usage besides maybe Rachel later?
I mean, not a ton. There is more Animorphs interaction with you in this than in the first one, where you just like checked in with them every now and again, but mostly did your own thing. Like here we do actually run around with them the whole time. But I feel like there aren't that many Marco lines, or like when there are Marco lines, he's like not being very funny. Like he has a couple of jokes, but Like, he should have a lot more jokes. Doesn't feel like Emily Costello really appreciates Marco, I think.
Yeah, well, no one really does the way that I do.
Yeah, maybe that's for the best.
What about this when Jake says about the Howlers, they're coming down the stairs. And I thought, Howlers in pajamas, they're coming down the stairs.
That's what you thought.
Yeah. If you read they're coming down the stairs, you're thinking about bananas and pajamas.
Okay. Sure. I guess that's what you're thinking about.
He says it twice.
I wonder if that was in the original. I wonder if you said that the first time, too.
Probably repeating word for word multiple jokes.
How much of this episode is just a retread? Write in and let us know.
I mean, it's very appropriate for what this book is. So,
all right. So obviously you weren't supposed to pick the shark and the Andalite, right?
Oops.
You're supposed to pick the fly and the hawk and the hork.
My favorite, I don't know, what does that sound like? Does that sound like a Narnia book or something? The fly, the hawk, and the hork? Something there.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. All right, so if you pick that one, you know that the Howler shows up to fight, and you're like, well, fuck, I've only morphed one time before. I don't know anything about fighting. What am I even doing here? Yeah, I'm not going to morph to fight. And Jake's like, all right, we're all losing. We're all going to die. Everybody go fly to escape, which is what happened in the book. And so you do. You have a fly, fortunately, so you get to escape with them. And you go into hiding like you did in the book. We get one thing that didn't happen in the book, which is Eric gives you his backstory. He sits here and is like, so I'm an android. I'm part of the Chi. I've been around forever. The Pemalites, blah, blah, blah. And then the Howlers flood the place with insecticide, as you might remember. So, you know, obviously you can't go fly. So your choice here is you got a morph choice. You either go hawk or hork. So, I mean, this is just really, this is the part where I really feel like it was getting rushed. Like, where are you right now? I don't know. What happened other than the Howlers attacking and then attacking again? I don't know. Right. We did 10 chapters of the book in 2 chapters.
Yeah. Well, look, we got a whole other B story we got to get to after this.
Right. Yeah. And this book is way shorter on the whole anyway.
What I really liked when you choose this set of morphs is when the book says this phrase, hawk, you decide. In a book predicated on the concept of you getting to decide things, there's literally a part where it tells you what you decide. Fuck off. That should be a fucking choice. How dare you say, I didn't decide shit. You decided that. Fuck you. What kind of a fucking book is this?
That's fair, although you don't actually turn hawk. You decide to turn hawk, and then Jake says, turn fly, and you go, all right, I guess I'm turning fly, never mind.
Yeah, you get double decided. You don't get to make one fucking decide. So that pissed me off.
Well, now you get to decide hawk or hork.
Yeah, hawk or hork.
My favorite game show.
It's fun being a hork.
Yeah.
For about 5 seconds.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously in the book, everyone turned into birds, so you're supposed to turn in. But you could turn into a hork. If you turn into a hork, everyone else turns into a bird, which should immediately clue you in that you made the wrong choice. But you do immediately die. The Howlers show up and kill you. It says, Hork-Bajir blades are adapted for bark, not escort buildings.
But there is a brief page where you have some fun swinging around as a Hork-Bajir.
Yeah, so that's nice. And I should note that all of these things are, they're all together, right? That old nested choice that we had, that was next, and now this chapter. We are basically doing the book in order still.
I guess you're right. It feels better though.
It does feel better.
It's not as obvious.
Yeah. I mean, this Hork-Bajir thing does skip to the end of the A plot. The A button plot.
Yeah, especially if you read B first, or if you or you did, fly first or something. Then I guess you wouldn't read the other part at all. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, I don't know. But anyway, right, you're supposed to turn into a hawk and escape with the others as birds. Um, and just like before, you get the whole scene where Jake's like, "Oh, they can't kill the escort," and Jake goes over the edge with the howler, and Cassie gets shot down. But unlike last time where she got shot down and like Jake thought she died, but she didn't, and she was okay. This time she was helping you, and so she gets shot and she dies for real. And so Cassie actually dies here. Um, so you're all hiding out with Eric. You've gotten away, except Jake's gone and Cassie's dead. And so Rachel's pissed at you, right? She's like, "This is your fault. You new Animorph, you, right? From now on, you stay the fuck out of my way." And so you get your next choice, which is, do you promise to stay out of Rachel's way? Which is a pretty stupid choice, but I like it.
um, did we ever learn about the Embalmers Guild in the first book?
I don't think they talked about the Embalmers Guild, though they might have.
I like the Embalmers Guild.
They really don't do enough in this book to sell you on the fact that the escort are all crazy, like, anarcho-capitalists. And so I feel like, if you were reading this, what the fuck, the Embalmers Guild? What do you mean the like...
Yeah, because what, don't they come over after Cassie's dead? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
happens?
think that's right, yeah.
They're like, we're here to embalm. I don't even know.
Here we are.
Also, they also, I think Jake references Krayak to you or something, and I'm like, I don't even know what Krayak is in the context of this. I have no fucking clue.
Do the Animorphs? Because this was the book where Jake first found out that the big red eye was called Krayak and was Ellimist's foe, and Ellimist erased their memories of having done this, but I guess he didn't erase explaining Krayak to them?
Yeah, he only erased how to beat the Howlers. He didn't erase Krayak.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it feels like you are supposed to be familiar with him in a way that you wouldn't be.
Yes. I mean, you're not supposed to be thinking about it at all, but
no, you're not.
Here's my issue here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went back and I reread this scene and I really tried to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand how at any point Cassie's death can be blamed on me.
No, you didn't do anything. Like, what happens in this is that you, like, bonk into a tree, and Cassie, like, helps you up, and then she gets zapped. And
does she helps? I feel like it's not even that direct of a connection. Like,
no, it's not very direct.
You're running away, you're flapping away, a howler's coming at you. You say, Cassie, watch out. He aims his beam and shoots Cassie or shoots at her. And then you say, I'm going to demorph. And then you dive down and she gets shot. I don't even know where she helps you. It's like, it's like way before that. There's no fucking connection from you to her getting shot. It's complete insanity. It's invented. Like, they could have just said she dives in front of you to take a bullet for you.
Right.
It's so easy to say that.
Yeah, it is more just like she's talking. Like, I kind of feel like, the only excuse you get here is that it's like a butterfly effect thing. Like, because in the original book, she doesn't die. And here, she's talking with you and she dies. So maybe she must have flown slightly different. Like, your presence ended up... It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense that Rachel blames you because she's a psycho. But then also fucking later on, the Ellimist is going to be like, your choices resulted in Cassie dying. And it's like, what the fuck do you mean? What? I do agree. Like, there's no...
What was I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I didn't... It wasn't even a choice. You could have at least made it a choice, the thing the book is about.
Yeah, choices. That is true. You could have had one choice that you die, and then if you take the one where you continue, Cassie dies, or something.
Right.
Like,
right.
That would be kind of meta. You, the reader, killed Cassie by not accepting the ending where you died.
This could be like the game Spec Ops: The Line, where the only moral choice is not to play it at all.
I see. Yeah. Right.
Steven's gonna love that one too. Okay, so this is where shit gets crazier still.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So, Okay, first of all, if you refuse, because I want to talk about what happens if you're just like, no, Rachel, I will not stay out of your way, right? Like,
Yeah.
because Rachel's like, don't you, whatever. If you say, okay, I'm not going to do that, then later that night, Axe is like, oh no, we're being gassed, you have to morph fly. And you do. And then Axe and Rachel put you in a bottle and trap you there and turn you into a fly Nothlet. Because they're like, you're too much of a risk. You got Cassie killed and you're a risk, and now we have to trap you as a fly. Which, this is fucking insane. Because in this continuity, they didn't do this to David. In the David thing, both Rachel and Axe were like Cassie came up with the plan. They didn't even come up with it because it was too fucked up. And then they were like, holy shit, this is so fucked up. And they were both really fucked up about it. And they were like, man, I don't ever want to talk about this again. But we literally were pushed too far because David he was gonna kill us. He was gonna sell us out. Wait, what did you do? Like, Cassie died because you happened to be around her and you didn't do anything wrong, and they're just like, yep, fly time, fuck it. Like, what? How does this happen?
In this canon, you can safely assume that any sixth Animorph, no matter who it is or what they do, that given enough time, they'll just end up being murdered by Rachel. It's going to happen. It's inevitable for all sixth Animorphs. If the auxiliary Animorph stuck around long enough, she would have systematically taken them out one by one.
Well, they existed long enough for Jake to murder all of them.
That's true.
David, I think, fully redeemed by this bit here. Didn't matter what he did, right?
Correct,
he would have got trapped as a rat no matter what.
That's right. Knowing what I know now, I would do the same as David.
Yeah, I would have killed harder. I would have betrayed him immediately and gone for the kill before they even realized.
I mean, I gotta applaud the book for going here because it is crazy and weird. It's not justified at all by the plot, but it just feels like they really needed to have, they really wanted you to connect from like A to L, and they don't have that tissue in between.
Yeah, no, it does seem to come from the place of like you should get turned into a Nothlet because there should be an ending for that because that's a, that's a cool bad end, and that happened to David. Yeah,
it's like, well, I have 8 endings to write, so I guess that's one of them. Just stick it here. Whatever.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, just fucking, it's crazy.
It is. It is crazy. Also confirms that, I guess what we already knew, that because they say about how, flies only have a lifespan of like, how long do they live? It's like, so David is a rat. I mean, yeah, he is going to die in like 2 years probably.
Yeah. I think they did talk about that in, in book 48.
It's fucked up. Well, not in this universe. There's no David. It's just you.
Yeah. Oh, I do have to apologize. There was some other recent episode where I referred to the David Returns book as book 47 several times, when that's the Beaver book, of course.
Wow, what are you, some kind of fucking idiot?
I know, right?
Jesus Christ, you should be an editor for Seerowpedia.
God damn, harsh. You didn't have to go that far.
Yeah, I take it back. I'm sorry. No one should have to be an editor for Seerowpedia.
We're going to get another angry email next time. Maybe.
Fate worse than death.
I can only hope.
I'd rather be fucking Jeffrey Dahmer than a Seerowpedia editor. I don't know why that's the first one that came to mind.
Yeah, usually you go to John Wayne Gacy first.
Oh, right. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
I think it's because I really would like to be John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Dead.
Well, that works for Dahmer, too.
Yeah, right. I guess that's all famous serial. There aren't really any living famous serial killers.
Yeah, not that I can think of.
I think they pretty much die if you find out,
Yeah, even the great Hannibal Lecter is the late great Hannibal Lecter.
Well, I guess the Zodiac is still out there, maybe. Or did we find out who he is? Did we find out who he is?
Oh, actually, I think we did find out who he was.
I think it was just some guy. I think he died.
Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just some guy.
I think some guy was just like, yeah, I was friends with him. He told me he was the Zodiac killer or some shit.
Then he winked at the camera and went back to his basement.
That was my friend. Oh.
Didn't we the Golden Gate Killer? Did we ever find that one?
I don't know.
This is a true crime podcast now. Those are the ones that get the
Yeah.
numbers. That's how we get our female listeners.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Throw away our listener base. We want them female
The
listeners.
ladies fucking love hearing about the true crimes. They're like, "Ooh, what if it happened to me? Oh no. I hope no one breaks into my house."
I might have to start drinking wine.
Oh yeah, I'm on my second bottle of Merlot.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
we gotta
So you
we gotta
choose,
finish this.
Yeah, so you choose to promise that you won't get in her way.
Yeah, you promise not to take any more chances, as you call it. I don't know what chances you took.
You took
were
a
all
lot
dying.
of chances.
Yeah, okay, so you keep doing the plot of book 26. Jake does the memory emitter thing, and the howlers all disappear when they get your memories. I guess they don't get... These howlers, I guess, don't kiss anyone, because Cassie died.
Right.
But, so after the howlers disappear... the Ellimist throws you a parade. You all get teleported to a parade in like New York City. You're in a car and everyone's like throwing confetti. Again, this is a fanfic scene. What is this? But so yeah, so the Ellimist had said like, I'll save your parents if you pass my test. But in this case, he's like, well, Cassie died because of you. You fucked up. So I'm only going to save one of your parents. So you have to choose who I save. And so you're like, well, I don't want to have one of my parents freed and the other one infested. So I choose, and you don't get to choose this. You just do.
Why would you? What books allow you to make choices? That's absurd.
Well, you choose Cassie. And so the Ellimist is like, okay, and Cassie comes back to life. Yay. And that's the end. The end. Cassie came back to life. And it ends, it says, nice choice. Very nice choice. And that's the end. You didn't make that choice, but you did. It's a good choice.
Best choice you made, honestly. You fucking nailed that one. Other ones, I mean, this is an insane ending. It's dark. It's weird as fuck. I didn't get Cassie killed anyway, so it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And fuck the Ellimist. There's still, even though we had those nested choices, there's still only one right choice.
Yeah.
The least they could have done is just give you 3 choices of ending. Choose your mom, your dad, or Cassie. And at least, like, just let you... It just has to be 1 page of this happens, even if it's like you're an asshole. Just let me feel like I decided something. Come on.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it is... This ending sucks. I think. I mean, what do you even make of this? Like, what happened? You're in a parade? Why are you in a parade?
Yeah, I mean,
if
that's
you
bizarre.
choose Cassie, is the parade also just an Ellimist trick? If you do you then pop
Right.
out of the parade and now you just get to do Animorphs from where you were at the David Saga, but the Howlers also got beat? Like, what happens from this point? And I think there might be an answer, but I think you have to read the other ending to answer that question. Because, like, at this point, it's just like, okay, hooray, Cassie's back and you're an Animorph and there's confetti. Like, what is it? What is this?
I do think the soundtrack to this scene is...
Woo, woo. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, I look, it is nonsensical. The whole thing is ridiculous, but I sort of do like the... if they had justified it, like if in this context your character gave a shit about Cassie or in any way was actually responsible for her death or anything, then like in a vacuum, the idea of, oh, you choose to save her, that feels like a classic, the secret third choice. That's the right choice. That's a device that can work, that I don't mind. And it is just fucking weird. So I kind of like it for that, but it's not great. It's not good, but I don't know. There's things about it that I sort of admire that they decided to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of that. I honestly, I would have liked it a lot more if it were a choose your own thing, but there was a secret way to choose another. Like if there was
Mm,
some kind of relationship from in like what you chose to what page you flipped to, so you could say
mm.
like, what if I chose Cassie? That would mean I flipped to page 75, and then you flip to page 75, and you're like, oh shit, I chose
Yeah,
Cassie, and
yeah.
that's the right. That would be cool, but.
That's a thing in those I told you about the graphic novel adventure books that it's
Mm,
a lot of times you'll have to like to figure out which panel you want to go to like for depending on which person you pick, you add that number to this number and that's the panel you turn to. And
I see.
sometimes there will be a secret one that you have to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would have been cool. I would have really liked that. But here it just kind of feels like I had this idea for a secret third choice, so I put it here.
right.
And you just, I don't know how to make you pick it, so you just do. It was a
Well,
nice
now
choice.
we're going to rewind time and do the B plot. No, I
Yeah,
think it's going to go quicker than the A plot though.
it is. So the A plot has a bunch of nested choices. If you press the B button, you do not get any nested choices. This one is in fact just linear. Um, and
Cool.
I 100% think that you are supposed to read this second. And all of the A chapters are in a row, and all the B chapters are in a row. Which, I do think that this is a problem because, like, one of the things that happens when you're reading, a different choose your own adventure book and you have uh two different like branching plots at the start. Like, do you want to go check out the swamp or do you want to go check out the hotel or whatever? Uh is that like because the chapters are all interspersed and you're flipping back and forth, sometimes you just can't help but see like a word or two. And so you're kind of flipping back and forth doing, say
Mm.
plot B and you go, what's that about a howler? I get to see a howler? Man, I should redo this, but once I finish, I should go back and redo it and try to get the howler part. And you don't get any of that here.
No. And God help you if you chose B first.
Yeah. Then that's just your yeah. Okay.
Well, that's why they're
So
in order. A, then B.
right. So you know which way you're supposed to read it.
Right. Careful on the plosives, by the way. Just getting a little too
No,
close to the
no.
mic.
I love my plosives.
It's hard on the ears. It's something to keep in mind.
The listeners are gonna have to deal with it.
I'm not
I'm
saying
gonna I'm gonna
I'm
blow this podcast up.
I might be guilty of it too. I think I need to invest in some new 80 plus episodes into the podcast. I should get us some new pop filter technology because I don't think what we have is cutting it. Listeners, write in. Let us know how you feel about it. And I don't like what you just did. Please get through B for Christ's sake so that we can end this episode.
I was used to all right. So if you press button B, then instead of doing book 26, the attack, you get to do Megamorphs 2 in the time of dinosaurs, which we talked about.
Wow, how incredibly appropriate.
Yeah,
It wasn't
I
a
mean,
waste of time.
it, doesn't it feel like they were just like, what are some of our most popular books? The David trilogy, the one where they see howlers, the dinosaur one. Everyone loves the dinosaur one.
Yeah. Hey, it's the greatest
Uh,
hits.
all right, so you're back in dinosaur times and you're getting chased by a T-Rex. We just skip right to the part where
Ah,
the T-Rex is chasing after you. And
ah.
I don't know that any of the Animorphs question why you're doing this.
No,
I
it
don't
doesn't really come up. It's
There's no
also
sorry or rip.
yeah,
I
they
don't
don't
know.
tell you that like yet that you traveled through time. So you could just
Yeah.
think there's just a dinosaur now here.
Yeah, that's true. He's the Ellimist. He could just make a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Whatever. You're being chased by a T-Rex, and again, the Ellimist is like, here, I'm gonna give you a morph. You can choose a morph, and I'll just give it to you because you don't have time. Because it's too hard to write chapters where you get the opportunity to get a new morph, and so the Ellimist is gonna give it. You can either choose to be a wolf or a roach to escape this T-Rex. So, yeah.
Yeah, so if you choose a wolf, of course,
If you choose a wolf, you get eaten.
because the T-Rex runs faster than you. Is that true, do you think? Would a T-Rex outrun a wolf?
I think it would, yeah. Over a short distance. It's got longer legs, so it makes
But
sense
you're
that it
also
would.
like in the woods, like you can like a
Mm,
wolf can, get around trees and stuff better
that's true.
maybe. I don't
That
know.
is true. I mean, wolves are faster, but they're more known for endurance than outright speed. I don't know. Who knows? Do we even know how fast T-Rexes could move? We
T
probably do.
Rex miles per hour speed. The general consensus this person on Reddit says okay, maybe somewhere between
This is
10
not
and
Google
20
AI.
miles per hour.
Damn, that's
We don't
not
really
fast at
know.
all. All right, you should be able to outrun it.
And a wolf speed is 31 to
Yeah.
37.
Yeah, no, a wolf is much faster than what they
Okay,
said for T-Rex.
so
That's
so I'm
crazy.
glad I looked this up. Yeah, this is bullshit.
Okay. Crazy.
Yeah, because I thought a T-Rex is they got stubby little legs. They're like squatting around like a weirdo.
What?
They're always so
That's-
fucking slow in Jurassic Park.
Sure. Well, whatever.
Well, except for when they're
whatever.
chasing
You get
them.
eaten.
There's a scene in the book where he's chasing them down a river. That was pretty cool.
Hmm.
Not in the
That
movie.
sounds cool.
We should read Jurassic Park.
All right.
the
If you turn into a roach here, then
You
you
outrun
still
the
get eaten.
T-Rex.
You still get eaten by a T-Rex, but this time you get to survive and scamper out of its mouth because you're a roach and you don't die easy.
You're kind of like, eat me.
It's a little vory, but not as vory as the actual Megamorphs 2, and not as vory as it's gonna get.
Yeah, this is just a taste of the forward to come.
Yes, yeah. There's just like some descriptions of you like sitting under the T-Rex tongue in like a pool of saliva.
Mm-hmm.
You escape this T-Rex, but you get like stranded away from the other Animorphs, and they do the whole plot where they kill the T-Rex and make shoes and make a fire and eat the meat, and they do all that without you. Because you follow their trail and you find them. Whatever. We're at that point. And and then we get the point where there's a dinosaur stampede in the middle of the night. Because with the T-Rex making the Patasaurus stampede or whatever. Like, remember that part? It's fine. It's fucking, we're there. We're doing it. I know this was a bunch of chapters. So now you get to, again, decide whether you want to morph Roach to avoid the stampede or make a run for it.
And they're just like, I love when they're just like, hey, here's all the interesting shit that happened while you were doing something else.
Yeah.
That's what every kid wants to read. I hope I get to read about the fun things other characters did that I didn't do. Wow. What a book.
I mean, that is what happened in the first book.
Yes. It also refers to the Animorphs as being your friends. I'm like, I just met those motherfuckers yesterday. I don't know I don't even know them.
Fucking 10 minutes ago, if you didn't read the Howler part.
Right. And again, this is not unlike the A plot. They're not going, hey, I remember this. So it's like, is this a retread or is this now the first time they've done this? Who knows?
But they're also not questioning why they're here. I don't know.
Maybe this time you just got sent to this book by the Ellimist. It makes no sense at all.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you read part A already, right? So you already got his explanation, so you can just assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I should morph Roach, right?
What? Yeah. Well, this is the point where Marco says, like, Stampede, what is this, a cowboy movie? And I was like, is this the first time Marco makes a joke?
That's a bad joke.
It's not very good. And I was like, Emily Costello, what are you doing to Marco, lady?
I mean, look, she is the one who wrote the worst Marco book of all time, so
yeah, fair.
Clearly she does not have an understanding of Marco.
Yeah. So if you turn into a roach here, you don't have enough time to get away. You get stomped.
Yeah, you just didn't have enough time. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
great.
You're sitting there and they squash you.
It's fucking stupid.
Boop. If you
do not want to see me again, I would understand.
Now, I do think in the Animorphs book, they all say we don't have time to morph and they run. So if you remember it,
sure.
But
okay,
whatever.
Cool. That's why I want this book is to make the same choices.
Yeah. Yeah, well, listen. So the T-Rex shows up and you get Vord here again. And in the and this is where Jake got Vord in the original, and he morphed in the thing's throat and blew it up. But you get Vord, you don't just morph in his throat. You get swallowed all the way into the T-Rex's stomach. You get super Vord, like really, really Vord. Um, and you once again turn into a roach to get out, and it just works. It's fine. You can just turn into a roach and climb
You
out of it.
just
It's
climb right through his mouth. You're like,
yeah,
let's
it's
go.
fucking fine. And yeah, and Jake kills it. Yeah. Um, now can I just? I want to read the Vor passage here.
Oh yeah, hold on. Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. Chomp, darkness,
Plus it's
hot breath, a slimy, rough surface beneath you, a tongue. You're in T Rex's mouth. Gulp. Pressure on all sides, squeezing you down and down some nightmare tunnel. You're being swallowed.
oh,
A
shit.
bigger opening. Liquid all around.
Oh.
Water. No. Too hot to be water.
Oh.
Digestive acid.
Yeah.
You're being digested.
Yeah.
You are blind, deaf, except for a sound of churning and the steady bass drum of a heart beating.
Oh.
Maybe I'm just internet poisoned, but that really comes off horny as fuck to me.
I think all well-adjusted people would read that and think the same thing. It's it's fucking weird and gross. Most certainly resulted in some future fetishes once again. If you didn't if Megamorphs 2 didn't quite get you.
Yeah.
This is the one that cemented it.
Yeah, well, this lady was like, what did people like about that one? They liked the dinosaurs, I think, and oh yeah, there were a bunch of kids who wrote in about how they have a fetish now. Better put that in too.
It is fucking gross. I mean, like the descriptions of stomach acid and shit. Again, hey, she wrote the fucking journey. That's what she was all about.
Was what she was all about. They were in a stomach. Oh my god! I think I found out something about this lady.
And also another anti-Marco thing I do not like.
Yeah.
You're running away and you go, I'm glad my legs aren't as short as Marco's. Like, what the fuck?
Off.
There's no reason to have that animosity towards him.
Marco
out
is
of
a
nowhere.
short king. Yeah, you don't even know Marco.
You don't
All
even
you
say
know
it
about him
out
is
loud.
that he's got beautiful eyelashes.
Right, and he's disturbingly pretty, like Axe.
Right.
But it's not even like, oh, I'm gonna say this as a joke to bust his balls. You just say it to yourself. You're just like, fuck that Marco guy. He's so short. What a loser.
Fucking shrimp.
It sucks. All right.
Yeah, I get why you didn't like that. I did make a note of that too.
But then what happens?
So, all right. So this at this point you're like, okay, cool, we escaped the stampede. I think in the book there's like 10 more chapters, 5 more chapters. Well, whatever. You know, you get to the canyon. There's the Mercora city. There's a city of aliens. There's flying saucers. And now you've got your choice. Do you want to go look at the aliens, or do you want to just like not do that? This choice sucks.
The quote is, if you decide to pretend you never saw the city.
What are you going to do? You're just going to wander around with the dinosaurs?
Why?
Or are you not going to... Yeah,
why?
Fuck the aliens. I hate that.
Is it like... It makes it sound like you saw something you're not supposed to, because you don't tell anyone about it. You're like, I'm just going to pretend I didn't see any of that. That's a little embarrassing.
That's what you do for your chapter 1 choice that I was talking about earlier, where like you would see the fucking alien landing the construction site and you could just not do it. And like, you're in dinosaur times. You can turn into animals. Nah, that alien shit, that's too much for me. I'm not going to do that. What the fuck are you doing?
It's the craziest choice. What a stupid... There had to be some other way they could word this and do something with that. I don't know.
Like, I like that not every choice is a morph, but some of these choices, do you want to look or not? Are you going to promise Rachel not to get in the way anymore or not? Don't bother choosing about whether to save Cassie. Like, It could have been better.
Do you want the story to continue, or are you just bored? Go to this chapter to just stop reading this shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you keep going, you get clever girled by Deinonychuses, which does
Yeah.
happen in the book before this point, but whatever. Who cares? Whatever.
At first, I was a little excited because they say a lone dinosaur is coming towards you, and I thought, could be the Drode. You know?
Could be the Dread. Now, there's only 2 other chapters in this book. Whichever choice you pick here, you only get 1 more chapter.
Yeah, so who knows which one is the right one. Also,
Yeah,
do you think at this point Tobias's wing is still broken and unhealable, or they don't mention that?
I don't think Tobias broke his wing in this continuity.
Okay. That's for the best.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, but so if we do decide to investigate, I bet we get to have some adventures with the Mercora and all this kind of shit.
I bet we do. The instant that you're like, yeah, let's check out the alien city, Ellimist is like, okay, you pass. And he flashes you out of the time of the dinosaurs. and you find yourself in a movie theater. And on the screen, you're watching like an Ellimist film about like the progression of humanity. Like you see like the 2001 A Space Odyssey apes, and then all of human progress happens. And he says some things about like curiosity and investigation and all that stuff. And then he flashes you out of the movie theater. And he brings you back to when you first moved here at the beginning of the book, before you went to the construction site. But you have memories of all of it. So now you get to, you don't have to become an Animorph if it was all too much for you. But you could do it again if you wanted.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so here's the part that is really weird. Is he says you remember all of it. When he's iterating all the things you remember, it says you remember the Howlers. Now, you didn't do that path. Which, am I to understand that what you remember when you flash back is you remember every possible line that this, like, you somehow, using your Alternamorph meta-warping powers that made the Ellimist so mad, remember every way that this could have possibly gone. And now you know that before you make the choice that you made at the beginning of the book. So now that you've read the whole book, you get to read the book again knowing all the answers. Is that what I'm supposed to take away from this?
They seem to have had a larger vision for this than what they actually wrote. I do think, like, we obviously from the setup, they had some concept of what if the Ellimist is mad at you, the reader, for making choices, but they just never connected those dots. It's so haphazard and nonsensical. But yeah, I do think that's the idea.
Yeah. It is a little bit weird to put that, like, here, because it does, again, the implication is that you read part A first. Like, if you read part B and you got here and it said you remember the Howlers, you're going, what? The what?
The fix for this is it should have been at the end of each part, it says, if you did the other choice already, go to this chapter. If not, read now, go back to choice A. And then you guarantee you have read everything before you get to the finale.
Yeah.
But they did not do that.
Yeah. And I mean, that would serve sort of the same purpose as having the, like, you flip back and forth and see, oh, there's a T-Rex in this part, right? Like, where it just says, like, hey, you did it. You succeeded. You won. That's the end of the story. But if you also did the other story, you get a secret ending. If you didn't, you gotta do the other one.
Kind of pretty cool. There's a certain video game I won't mention. Actually, there's a few video games that do this kind of thing. There's one I like, though.
Only one.
I'll just say I don't want to spoil it, but I bet Steven's played it.
Well, you're really latching onto this, like, maybe I like Steven now thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're buds now.
I think you might be disappointed. next time he writes in.
I just thought you meant with the real person.
That too.
I'm sure I would be. Well, that's why he exists only as a concept in my mind.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't think we really even need to discuss
Yeah.
the complete meaninglessness of you passed the test by deciding to investigate a city. The book's over. You did it.
I mean, that greater meta thing, when he says, like, humans need to investigate and you remember the Howler, like, I'm trying to read, like, oh, because you investigated every ending. You didn't just stop when the book ended. You went back, and it always tells you, like, every time you die in a different Choose Your Own Adventure book, it would just say, like, you got splatted, but here it's like, you got splatted, go back to that page and try again. So it really feels like they're trying to do that, but it's so... it is a mess. It does.
They just ran out of space.
Yeah.
They definitely were gonna write about the Mercora, and then we're just like, oh, I only have 4 pages left. I guess the book's over.
How does that happen, though? This is not coming out once a month. This is a year later. Did they just decide, like, a year later, they were like, you know what would be cool is if on the 1-year anniversary we put out a second one. You got 1 month again, lady. Like, how did this happen if they ran out of space? Because I think you are right.
Yeah. I don't... They just did not plan it well.
Yeah.
Or it's not even about, like, time management. It's just, like, I didn't have an outline. I just wrote until I was like, oh, page count fulfilled. Done. It's 5 p.m. I'm going home.
I mean, I guess, was there a mandated page? This is fewer pages than the first one.
Oh, in my PDFs, they're roughly the same. But...
They're close, but it's not quite as much. But yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah. It does, though. It very much feels like you're just rushing through the plot of these other books, except for the meta Ellimist stuff, which could be cool, but it's just kind of nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of it.
As we said, it is definitely better than the first one.
It is.
It's a low bar to clear. But in every aspect, it does improve on the first book. You cannot deny that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100. Because, like, the problem of rushing, that's the same as the first book, except that you're not even doing the interesting parts.
Right. So, had there been a third Alternamorphs, maybe that would have been even better. And maybe they just needed to keep on trying until they figured it out. But maybe. They didn't do that.
Yeah, they just barely had time to do another one, but it would have been kind of weird because it would have come, like, right at end series if they stayed on the year schedule, which they didn't have to.
No, that was necessary for the bookitude, of course.
Right, of course.
I don't even remember what you said anymore. Look, there's some pop culture references that I wrote down.
Yes, I think more than last time.
More than last time, but also I wrote them in the order that I read them, so they're probably not all in the same order as if you wrote them, because we may have made different choices at different times.
I get that.
So here they are. He's talking about the mall, of course, in the beginning. By he, I mean you. Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King, Walmart, Home Depot, Mrs. Fields, The Gap, Express. At the construction, this really, I have questions about this. At the construction site, he says there are rocks the size of a Reese's cup. What? Why would that be your go-to size comparison in any situation? The rocks are about as big as a Reese's cup. What the fuck? Do you work for Hershey? This is crazy to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that means. Like, it's a weird
miniature,
size.
Full size, king size.
Do you mean that they have the same diameter, in which case they're much bigger, or do you mean that they are the same total volume if you squish them up, or do you mean they weigh the same, in which case they're tiny?
Okay,
because here's the thing: unless you mean that they are the same size and shape as a Reese's cup, like, I don't know what. Because I don't imagine a rock being the same shape as a Reese's cup. So what do you mean by the same size? Like, you don't say, like,
all right,
it's the size of this, and then they're totally different shapes.
I was on board.
Like, if I were to say something is the size of a pencil, you'd expect it to be pencil shaped, right?
Oh, roughly, yeah. But I think this can just be a disc that's just like
I
that
guess.
size. Yeah, it doesn't need to have like
But
ridges in it or something.
but like I don't know. I don't if you just say a generic rock, I don't imagine it being a disc. So like, am I to assume this is a disc? Because he doesn't say the shape of a Reese's cup.
Okay, look, I was on board with you at the start, but I think you took it to a place of being too nerdy. I
All
can't
right,
get you're thinking
whatever.
about mass and
I
volume
just
and
won't say
shit.
diameter
Yeah, please,
in the
fucking
future.
please. It just means it's like a flattish disc-shaped rock like that you can
But
see,
you
like a skipping stone,
but
like
you
a
did
good.
imagine it as a disc.
Yeah, for sure. I
Okay.
imagined it like basically exact shape and size of a Reese's cup, just like round instead of,
Okay. Yeah, because I was looked at it and was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to imagine it the same shape as a Reese's cup, but if I'm not, then I don't know what that means. So
I know what it
anyway,
means. I just think it's insane to say it. Like you could just say "fit in my palm" or something. Like I
well,
don't
of
know.
course you know what it means because you did imagine it the shape of a Reese's cup, and in that case, it
Right,
makes
because that's
sense.
correct.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the author was thinking here, so I don't know what.
Why would you think the size of it meant they would crush it up into a ball or
Because
something?
if it wasn't the same shape, then what the hell does the size mean?
Yeah, but
Whatever. Because I wouldn't imagine if you just said a rock that shape. So I would have expected like you would just say the shape of a Reese's cup.
if I said it was the size of a stick of gum, you'd be like, "Oh, so do you mean chewed up?"
If you said a rock was the size of a stick of gum, I wouldn't know what to make because a rock wouldn't be shaped like a stick of gum. So what the hell do you mean? It could mean chewed up because there are like three different things it could mean.
What if I said the size of Reese's Pieces? Is that
Well,
better?
yeah, that's closer to the shape of a rock. Then I just think pebbles.
Well, now I'm thinking about Bam Bam. And you know what I'm thinking about after that? Wilma.
I'm surprised that Reese's Pieces didn't just crowd out Wilma in your head.
I improved on the whistle. The first one was weak.
Good job.
That one was for Reese's Pieces.
I thought they all were, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I have another problem with this next pop culture reference. Numerous times in the intro of this
Yes.
book, you refer to the Hork-Bajir as looking like the monsters from Where the Wild Things Are, and he just calls them wild things as shorthand like a dozen times in the beginning of these chapters. They do not look like that. I do not agree with this comparison.
No, they don't.
and he uses it so many times when it's, as the reader, we know what a Hork-Bajir is, so it's just strange to read the perspective like that.
Here come the wild things. I mean, honestly, you did it though. It wasn't. You're saying he as though you weren't the one doing it. It's kind of your fault if you think about it.
I guess I did decide to do that. All right, let's
flip to the page.
The rest of these.
All right.
Smashed 2x4s and torn sheetrock. So it seemed to have been built of brilliantly colored blocks like Legos. The Escort Lego is not it doesn't have a plural. It's Lego block bricks. We know about that.
Mm-hmm.
What is this, McDonald's? Do you want fries with that? It's like turning into I don't remember why they say that. What does that mean? Why does he say that?
Feels like a Marco line, but I don't know where.
I don't know why he says that. It's like turning into Schwarzenegger without even doing a single crunch, is what morphing is, probably. You once saw an hour-long special about the dragons on PBS. Your skin turns Godzilla green. I don't think Godzilla's green. Maybe like in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like a very dark, but not really.
Neither are Komodo dragons. They're also not green.
Okay,
so I think that's what she meant by that.
I guess it's perfectly accurate then. So what would? Okay, this apple is peach red, or I don't know. I can't even think of a comparison because it makes no fucking sense. Anyway, Godzilla green. The Legoland, they call it a couple of times. Somebody says, does this mean the Yankees won another World Series? Another Godzilla reference. There's someone that has a Buick-sized snout. Someone says,
like
I wish...
T-Rex.
Probably. Someone says, I wish I had a Coke. And then anything in the soda family. Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, Orangina, root beer. Hey, I'd even suck down a Tab.
I like Tab.
No, have you ever even had a Tab?
Of course I have.
Didn't they stop making them in the 80s?
I have definitely had a Tab.
It's probably an old one.
Maybe it was. I don't think so. It's been a long time, but
found it in a dumpster. It's probably anyway. Aren't those the baddies from Jurassic Park? The Ellimist takes you at the end to an empty IMAX theater. I hope it was legit IMAX and not a Limax. You know.
I know.
There's another reference to Coke and Tab, because Marco's mad that he has Tab. They mentioned Benjamin Franklin with his kite and Edison with a bumpy-looking light bulb, and finally they say that it's very PBS. This movie.
There you go. Double PBS. Tab was discontinued in 2020.
Are you serious?
That's what it says here.
How can that be? What the fuck? Who the fuck?
I was gonna say I definitely drank Tab, so I guess I
where was
it was probably
sold?
around 2013 or something. I don't know. Walmart probably. I don't know.
Hold on. Tab's popularity began to decline in 1982.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
What the fuck? In 2011, Coca-Cola said they produced approximately 3 million cases of Tab that year, in contrast to 885 million cases of Diet Coke. Okay, so you can see this is not nearly as much.
Yeah, no, I know it wasn't very popular, but I definitely had it.
Good Lord. In
2006, they made an energy drink called Tab Energy. I want this. What the fuck? Get me this, listeners.
All right, we can talk. We need to save this for our 90s snack episode of the Patreon. Speaking of which, if you'd like more of this show, you can find it over on the Patreon, patreon.com/theyerkyboys. Full-length-ish episodes every week about other books and movies and other things. This week, we're reading the first Remnants book, another K.A. Applegate series.
Pretty exciting. I'm excited.
Can't wait. Yeah.
And anything else they can do with us?
Yeah, they can email us.
Oh, where'd they do that?
Oh, thanks for asking. TheYerkyBoys@gmail.com. Hit us up there with any of your thoughts on Animorphs or anything. And I mean, next week's a big week, so
yeah. I mean, let's just introduce it right now. Next week we start the TV show.
It's finally happening. It feels like we've been waiting forever for this.
I mean, this is our last book, isn't it? I guess there's like a Meet the Stars of the Animorphs we're thinking about, and maybe parody books like Megamorphs, but like.
And if you count graphic novels as books.
Yeah. But like as far as like the actual original Animorphs run, I think we've done them all now.
That's true. Yes, the original run of books is completely done.
Yeah, like if you were to get like a repository of all the Animorphs PDFs, we've done them all, including the Alternamorphs.
Now, there's been some controversy on how we're going to cover these episodes of the show, but I think we've settled on that our next week we are going to be talking about the first 2 episodes. Is that correct? We agreed on this?
Yeah, because it starts with a 2-parter. I think we definitely do a 2-parter to start. If it goes long somehow, which it will somehow, so be it. And we'll go from there. We'll figure out our format as we go, I think.
Pretty exciting. So maybe if you have opinions about just the first 2 episodes, send them in. I guess you can give us thoughts about the series as a whole, but I don't know. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, we don't want to get spoiled for the TV show, though.
Check out the show notes for links to my other stuff if you want to find me somewhere else.
Exciting. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be talking about the first episodes of the Animorphs TV show. My Name is Jake, parts 1 and 2, on the Yerky Boys.
No, in which?
I don't know. I don't have that.
In which he turns into a tiger or something. You say that, or a lizard, right? You say the same thing. All right.
I don't have a cup.